the National Football League. This is not the Big 12. It's not Pop Warner. An absolute disgrace. An atrocity. An affront. One of the most disgraceful performances that I have ever seen in 35 years watching National Football League football.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, tremendous Football Thursday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Before we begin the show today, I'm going to tell you what's coming up. We'll get to everything going on in the world of sports. Full intro in a moment. To everyone watching the show right now on YouTube or Twitch, I would like to apologize because I'm looking at myself right now on camera on VMix, which is our show program. And I do look like North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un with my hair right now. I know it's bad. I have a haircut coming up after the show. I'm actually, frankly, like Stephen A. Smith's show back in the day, quite frankly, I'm embarrassed by myself right now. I hold myself and my physical appearance to a higher standard than this. It is not acceptable for me to look like Kim Jong-un doing a show for all of you. I promise I will do better tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Friday. Today is a Thursday. A tremendous football Thursday. And today, on this Thursday, the world of sports is buzzing. And we're going to get to all of it, including, hey, Trae Young.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Trae Young is now a Washington Wizard. Traded last night from the Atlanta Hawks to the Washington Wizards. And I'm going to tell all of you, you dear listener, you dear viewer, why this might be the funniest trade in the history of sports. If you have a sense of humor and you love sports, if you check those two boxes, clear this very low bar, then you will at the very least have a smile on your face when we discuss the Trae Young trade from Atlanta to Washington. And from a sports perspective, I'm going to tell you why this is a win-win for both teams and what it means moving forward this season when we think about betting and think about what's going to happen for the 25-26 Hawks and the 25-26 Washington Wizards. We've got some more NBA to discuss today on the show because I see two teams right now, one in each conference, neither the conference favorite, that is percolating to the degree that I think both are worthy of your attention, you the listener, you the viewer, and perhaps worth a bet as well. Who are they? And why? I will explain later in the program. Two tremendous guests will join us today on this tremendous Football Thursday to get you, dear listener, you, dear viewer, set to bet and win and be informed on the college football playoff. CBS Sports, Danny Cannell, coming up at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, an hour from now. And also next hour, Pro Sports Better, Joey Knish, baby, on the college football playoff semis and wild card weekend in the National Football League. That's what we bring you here on You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Here is former college football legendary quarterback and NFL quarterback Danny Cannell to break down the games. And then here is very entertaining Pro Sports Better Joey Knish. That right there is Wagertainment. Let's go on this Thursday. All my bets for tonight will close the show in the final hour of the Power Hour. It'll be the NBA. Got a little college basketball. And, of course, we'll finalize the bet for Ole Miss and Miami in the Fiesta Bowl as playoff football is back. And it's back tonight. As a reminder to everybody, the new YouTube link for the show, youtube.com/@thekostos, THEKOSTOS. We will still be streaming on the BetMGM Network YouTube page as well for the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Starting Monday, youtube.com/@thekostos, THEKOSTOS. There was a ton of interaction in the YouTube chats yesterday. It was magnificent. I loved it. I'm going to try and hop in during a bunch of breaks during the show and interact with all of you. So keep it coming. You've got thoughts on what we're talking about? Type them in the chats. You heard yesterday. I'm going to talk about it on the air. I'll shout you out. We'll get into the topic that you brought up, and I will give you my opinion on it. So whatever it is you've got in the YouTube chat, at any time during the show for the next 3 hours, to paraphrase Dumb and Dumber, send them in, and we'll discuss them on the air. YouTube.com/@the-Kostos. We are also on for the next 2 days, YouTube.com/@the BetMGM Network. And the phone number today to call in to talk NFL playoffs, college football playoffs, NBA, whatever tickles your fancy in the world of sports, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. But we officially begin the tremendous Football Thursday edition of You Better You Bet by celebrating football. I want everybody to bask in it, revel in it. What we've got coming up tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. A salute to courage. A salute to the NFL. Kenny, bring it up. Are you ready for it? Who wants to watch and bet and talk about playoff football? I do. And I'm guessing you do as well. Send in those YouTube comments. 310-840-4910. We're going to begin the show. I'm going to give you, for the next 40 minutes or so, 35 minutes or so, my thoughts, opinions, handicaps, bets on all 5 games in the NFL postseason, Saturday and Sunday. We'll save the thoughts on the Texans and Steelers in full for Monday's edition of You Better You Bet, where I've already bet the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 3.5. That number is now 3. I still think the Steelers are worth betting at that number. I would never bet the Texans. Never. Not that they can't win or cover. Just think Pittsburgh's the bet in that game. More on that coming up on the Magnificent Football Monday edition of the show. So we will begin here with the NFL playoff analysis, where most things do. At the start. Unless you're George Lucas and you start your Star Wars saga with episode 4. So that would be like, hey, let's start with Eagles 49ers, which is the second game on Sunday. No. Let's begin with the Rams and the Panthers in Carolina, Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox with Joe Davis and Greg Olsen. Like, I don't care that what I'm about to say is true. Like, I think Greg Olsen has a serious affinity for the Carolina Panthers. I think he'd tell you that. Do I think there's a conflict of interest? No. Do I care? No. It's like Troy Aikman calling a Cowboys game. Just that I think it's a little interesting that the Panthers are here now with Greg Olsen calling games on Fox in the number 2 slot. All lines, as always, that I'm going to give out here are courtesy of our show sponsor and our title sponsor, BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the BetMGM app. Visit BetMGM.com. The Los Angeles Rams, 10.5-point road favorites at the Carolina Panthers. Total of the game is 46.5. And big news here on the injury front for the LA Rams. As Davante Adams back at practice. Practiced in full yesterday on Wednesday. And this is like the equivalent of giving Thanos an extra Infinity Stone. Like, hey, Matthew Stafford, like you played at an MVP level all season. You've already got Puka Nacua. You've already got the Power Stone. How about this? Here's the Soul Gem now. Here's Davante Adams, the fadeaway stone, the red zone lock touchdown stone, the 1st and 1 at the 1st and goal from the 1 stone, where he is a cheat code. He is going to score that touchdown. Davante Adams looking to be back in this game for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, before I tell you what's going to happen in the game, let's hop in the old YBYBTM, the You Better You Bet time machine. And we don't have to go back that far. November 30th, year of our Lord, 2000. 25. 5 weeks ago, when the Carolina Panthers upset the Rams in Carolina 31-28. Matthew Stafford in that game, a couple back-breaking turnovers, including a defensive touchdown. The Rams in that game lost the turnover margin, 3-0. Carolina in that game went 7 for 15 on third down and 3 for 3 on fourth down. And all of this with this as well. The Rams averaged 7.4 yards per play and the Panthers 5.8. So the Rams on a down-by-down basis were better than the Carolina Panthers. But you lose the turnover battle by 3, and the opposition goes the 50% on third down and 100% on fourth down, and that's how you get to a situation like this, with the Panthers winning in upset fashion, and David beating Goliath in that game back on November the 30th. But as Justin Timberlake once famously sang, "Don't be so quick to walk away." Great song, Rock Your Body. But as Justin Timberlake also famously sang, "What goes around, goes around, goes around." You know, it comes all the way back around. And I think that's what's going to happen here in this game. Now look, maybe the Rams turn it over again 3 times. Maybe Matthew Stafford, in what would be a clear departure from his MVP form the vast majority of the season, and there was a departure already against this team this year 5 weeks ago. Maybe he turns the ball over a bunch. And maybe, just maybe, the Carolina Panthers once again run hotter on third and fourth down than your buddy who's blackout drunk at a bachelor party in Las Vegas at the roulette table. We've all been there, and don't lie and say you haven't. Maybe that happens. And maybe David beats Goliath again. But what I see coming up on Saturday, this ain't a Disney movie. The underdog doesn't have to win. Sometimes the bad guy wins. Not to insinuate that the Rams are the bad guy, but the Rams are the big bad in this game, and there can be no question about that. If we get even a slight regression from what we saw in the first game, where, again, as I laid out, everything that could have gone wrong for the Rams went wrong, and everything that could have gone right for the Panthers went right. And that's a credit to Carolina. I'm not saying that the Panthers get no credit for that performance, get no credit for that win. But if things go even a little differently, the Rams are going to win this game. And I think, and I've been saying this for weeks, it's going to be the Rams or the Eagles that wins the Super Bowl. I'll take Philly if and when they play, and I think it's when they play in Philadelphia, either divisional weekend or championship Sunday. I'll take Philly, but I think it's one of those teams, either the Rams or the Eagles. Now, do I love laying 10.5 with the Rams? I can't say I'm obsessed with that price. 10, I would be way more interested in the Rams. 9.5, I'd be knocking over women and children to make that bet. The way I want to play this game from a betting perspective, I want to use the Rams as a money line parlay piece. I think and yes, Nick, yes, I know. They're a huge favorite in the game. They're very likely to win. Are they going to win by more than 10? Maybe. But I do think they're going to win. And that's all I got to say about that. And just because some people will say that Dave Canales, who was the Panthers head coach, right? He was on the Seahawks coaching staff following the 2011 season where the Seahawks were an under 500 division champion and hosted an 11-5 New Orleans Saints team. I bet the Saints in that game. I remember watching with all my college friends. I got really stoned. I was really upset. It's the Beastquake game. Great. Do I think that happens here? No, I don't. The Rams can win the Super Bowl. I do not think they're losing on the road in Carolina. And that might be, as a famous country singer once said, I actually don't know who it is. Famous last words of a fool. I actually don't think that will be famous last words of a fool. Rams win. Maybe they cover. Rams advance to round number 2. Let's go to Saturday night, where, honestly, this is going to be the most traffic Amazon has had since the last time my wife logged onto the website to buy 7,000 things. I promise you this. There are garbage heaps around the world that don't have as many cardboard boxes in them as there are in front of my house on a daily basis because my wife can't stop on Amazon. Anyway, Saturday night, Amazon Prime, 8 p.m., where this feels like the NFL saying, hey, Amazon, You get the short end of the stick every year with Thursday night games. We're going to give you the Packers and the Bears. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call for Green Bay at Chicago as a rivalry is renewed. Back in the playoffs together for the first time since the 2010 NFC Championship game where the Packers were on the road. 3.5-point favorite. I bet them. They won 21-14 as Jay Cutler got hurt. Caleb Haney came in, and B.J. Raji did a dance in the end zone for the Green Bay Packers. Sorry to all the Bears fans for that bad memory. Green Bay right now at our show sponsor, BetMGM. A 1-point road favorite, total in the game, 45.5. There is a chance, and we talked about this with Danny Parkins on the show yesterday, of snow in the forecast and maybe some wind. Now, the wind right now, and look, weather is fickle, right? Like, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Right now, it doesn't look like the wind is going to be bad enough that it's going to mess up passing games. Because if it does, we get like 30-mile-per-hour winds. I think it helps Chicago, who's much more of a grinded-out team, I think, than the Green Bay Packers are, even with Josh Jacobs now healthy following the week off. But if this is not going to be a wind-impacted game, I think it absolutely favors the Green Bay Packers. And I do think it matters. And I think we might, after this game, we might say that Matt LaFleur outfoxed Ben Johnson. Now, I don't blame Ben Johnson and the Bears for trying to win last Sunday. And the Eagles lost anyway, so it didn't matter, and Chicago got the 2 seed. I don't necessarily blame the Bears for trying to win that game. But they lost. DJ Moore's banged up. Like, the injury report's a little lengthy for Chicago. Roma Dunze may not play in the game, not because of Sunday, but just saying. Matt LaFleur said, you know what? We're the 7 seed. We're resting everybody. This is a glorified bye week for the starters for the Green Bay Packers. They lost in Minnesota. Who cares? Doesn't matter at all. They're the 7 seed no matter what. So now you get rested Josh Jacobs. And now you get rested Jordan Love. And you get a rested Green Bay Packers team. And if the wind is not significant in this game, dun, dun, da, 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 dun, go, Pack, go. Yeah, I like Green Bay. Do you like the Packers or the Bears? The Rams or the Panthers from a betting perspective? 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@thekostos to chime in. I won money on the Chicago Bears this season. I don't win all my bets, but I do want to say, I liked the Bears coming into the year. Bet them to make the playoffs. Bet them to win the NFC North. I also bet the Vikings to win the NFC North. That was a loser. But I loved the Bears all season. And if you've been listening to the show or watching the show for any amount of time, you know that I'm in on the Bears. And I think they're going to be a problem for years to come. But this version of the Bears is not ready for prime time. Not ready for their close-up, Mr. DeVille. No way. And I think you're going to get a really good Jordan Love game, provided the weather holds up on Saturday night in Chicago. So give me on Saturday night. And we'll have to wait. I want to make sure the weather is going to be okay. Because if the wind is bad, it favors Chicago. But if it's not, and it's not at this moment, I like the Packers to go into Chicago and beat the Bears and potentially save the job of Matt LaFleur. Oh, baby. We are just scratching the surface here on this Thursday. Great guests to come. We're going to play you a ton of sound from the world of sports and otherwise later in the show. We will break down Ole Miss in Miami. We'll talk the Trae Young trade to the Washington Wizards. But on the other side, my thoughts and bets for the 3 Sunday games on Wild Card Weekend in the NFL, and we will start it off with the Bills and the Jaguars in Jacksonville, and I'm going to lay a take on you that is so hot, so smoldering, it might just melt your ass, and you're going to agree with it. You better you bet. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
You gave the Bulls a C- in your grade. Why are you being so nice to this disaster of an organization and this farce of a front office? F-, if there is anything below an F-, that should be the grade for the Chicago Bulls in this front office. This Bulls team, this Bulls organization, this Bulls front office, and God, I hope we're on 670 the score right now. This Bulls front office is an absolute joke. Everything that they've done with this organization since they ruined Derrick Rose and his knees has been absolute garbage. They refuse to build. They refuse to go out and get superstars. They've got a GM who says that they don't need superstars on their team to win. And in this league, you absolutely need superstars to win. And this is the team that they run out back and back and back. Well, we went to the play-in game and we lost to the Heat, and we went to the play-in game and we lost to the Hawks. It's the same damn thing every year. They're good enough with being in ninth place to get to the damn play-in game and then lose to either Miami or Atlanta, who just traded Trae Young to the Washington Wizards. This is what this Bulls organization is. Anything higher than an F-, and you're out of your mind.
Looking to throw. Pressure throws. Incomplete. Don't see a flag. Eagles going to hold on.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, the Buffalo Bills losing that game a couple weeks ago to the Eagles on the failed 2-point try on the final play. Well, not the final play of the game, but basically the final play of the game. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady on the call on Fox. The Patriots won the AFC East as a result of that finish. And now, if the Bills are going to make the Super Bowl, likely going to have to win 3 road games to get it done, starting this weekend in Jacksonville. We'll begin the preview of all 3 games in the NFL coming up on Sunday on Wild Card Weekend. The phone number, 310-840-4910. Let's squeeze one in here because it's about the Monday night game. Tom in New York. Tom, what's going on? Welcome to You Better You Bet. Do we have Tom? Tom is going once. Tom is going twice. Oh, Tom, go ahead, buddy. We got you now. Hey.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
I think Tom's cell service is not great, but I can see on the screen here that Tom wants to talk about the Steelers having a chance to score on the Texans offense. Yeah, I absolutely, or the Steelers, can they score on the Texans defense? And I absolutely think they can score enough to win the game. Do I think they're going to score 30 points? No way. But DK Metcalf's going to be back. And do I think Metcalf will be good for one big play down the field on Derek Stingley or Kamari Lassiter? I do, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think Pittsburgh is not just going to cover on Monday night against Houston. I think the Steelers are going to win the game on Monday night against the Houston Texans. 310-840-4910. And keep the comments coming on YouTube. YouTube chats have been on fire the first couple days here. We've been reading the comments here on the show. Want to get to a couple that were typed in during the break on Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. At Void Null, 9222. He thinks the Patriots will cream the Chargers. Interesting verb choice there. Patriots' new dynasty is here. Can't say I agree, but we'll find out on Sunday night. Mark Summers, a lot of people leaning on the Packers. I do like the Green Bay Packers to beat the Chicago Bears. And our resident Bears fan, Kevin Hilmers, says he likes the Bears on the money line. I don't blame any Bears fan for liking their team. I do like the Green Bay Packers, though, coming up on Saturday night. Go Birds 1211 says a Packers win means no Eagles-Rams NFC Championship game. That is true, but maybe we get that in the divisional round next weekend instead. We shall see. And even if the Eagles and Rams don't end up playing each other, go Birds, and to everyone watching and listening to the show, I do think that one of those two teams will win the NFC, and whichever one wins the NFC will win Super Bowl 60. All right, Sunday in the NFL playoffs. Bills in Duval against the Jaguars on CBS. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. The Bills, a 1-point road favorite. Total of the game is 52. And I'm going to come out of the chute, and I'm going to say this. And before you think I'm crazy, and before you say that take is way too hot, before you say that, remember what I said last week on Friday when talking about the Ravens-Steelers game on Sunday night. If the Ravens lose, they must fire John Harbaugh. They lost. They fired him. Now hear me say this. If the Buffalo Bills lose on Sunday in Jacksonville, Sean McDermott needs to be fired before the Bills leave Duval County. And John Harbaugh should be the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills before the plane lands in Western New York. This needs to be like job on the line for Sean McDermott. And I don't care that this is a 1-point spread. Like Bills, it's basically flip the coin game. I don't care about any of it. The Buffalo Bills cannot lose this game. I don't want to hear any excuses, none, about the pass defense or the lack of weapons. I don't want to hear about any of it. None of it. No excuses here. No Mahomes. No Lamar. No Burrow. No excuse for Josh Allen. If the Bills lose this game, and I understand they're not a massive favorite in the game, I get it. But if the Bills lose in this watered-down AFC playoff field in the first round, this would be like watching John Wick and Keanu Reeves dies in the first 30 minutes and the movie ends. Or like you're watching the first Rocky movie and Sylvester Stallone 20 minutes in goes, "Yo, Adrian, I'm retiring." Movie ends. Like, you can't have this. Josh Allen's the star of this movie. He's the star, should be at least, the star of the AFC playoffs. And if Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and Josh Allen plays his best, the Bills are going to win the game. They will win. And I don't mean that as an insult to Trevor Lawrence. I'm a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. I bet the Jaguars to win the division. I can't believe that bet cashed. I've been in on Jacksonville this season. And Trevor Lawrence is awesome. I wanted him after like his first start at Clemson to start for the Giants. I've loved Trevor Lawrence since his freshman, since the first year he started in college. He's not as good as Josh Allen. He's not as good as Josh Allen when they both play at their best. He's not. So if Josh Allen plays at his best, the Bills should win. And I don't care about the Bills' pass defense. I don't care about anything. Buffalo absolutely needs to win this game. And I think they will. I don't know if I'm going to bet it. It feels like a toss-up to me. I haven't bet it yet. And again, at MGM, Bills a 1-point road favorite. I will probably end up with a wager on the Buffalo Bills. I do think you'll get a great Josh Allen performance. And if you made me bet right now, and I do have them in some exactas, which we talked about throughout the NFL season, I do think the Bills will win the AFC. It's a watered-down conference, and the Bills have the best player. And he plays the most important position. He's the star of this movie. And if the movie ends 20 minutes in, like James Bond dies in the next Bond movie in the first 30 minutes, that's what this would be. Sean McDermott's got to be fired. Like, you'd fire the director of that movie, right? You'd fire that director. If James Bond's dead 30 minutes in, why would you go see that movie? Sean McDermott's got to go. If the Bills don't win this game, I do think the Bills will win the game. Do you agree with me on the Bills firing Sean McDermott if they lose? And do you think the Bills are going to win the AFC? 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@the Kostos. We move on to Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady will have the call of the Eagles and the 49ers from Philadelphia. The Eagles, 4.5-point favorites in the game, and the total in the game, 44.5. And to help us preview the game, let's take a listen to legendary play-by-play man and friend of our show and friend of this show as well. And he will join us here on You Better You Bet in the weeks to come. The great Ian Eagle joined Pat Boyle and Brad Evans last night on BetMGM Tonight and had this to say about the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions.
The biggest question for me is the fact that Philadelphia this season did not feel like the defending Super Bowl champs is going about their business. It was a pretty vanilla year by comparison to what we saw take place a year ago.
Ian Eagle's 100% right about that. And great job by Brad Evans and Pat Boyle last night. BetMGM Tonight here on Westwood One Sports, 6 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Awesome interview with Ian Eagle. And if you missed it, you can check it out in podcast form. Search BetMGM Tonight wherever you find your podcasts. There's no disagreeing with Ian. The Eagles have been pretty vanilla this year compared to what they were last year when they were way more dynamic offensively, of course, with a different play caller in Kellen Moore. The Eagles' offense at points this season has been offensive. The Eagles' offense for much of this season has been impotent. And they've had a failure to perform in the big moments. It's a good thing, then, that I refer to the San Francisco 49ers defense as Viagra. Because they're going to fix the Eagles' performance issues in a hurry. Whoop! Oh, yeah. This Niners defense is dreadful. And if the Eagles can't score on San Francisco on Sunday afternoon, Kevin Patullo should have to stand trial before Nicolas Maduro. Like, put Kevin Patullo on trial. Send him to Guantanamo Bay if the Eagles can't score in this game against this version of the San Francisco 49ers defense. This bastardized version of the San Francisco 49ers defense that doesn't have Nick Bosa, doesn't have Fred Warner, and every single linebacker on the roster is hurt, and that is not figurative, that is literal. They're all hurt. This team's the walking wounded. Trent Williams isn't practicing. You know, the future first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle for San Francisco, not practicing. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice yesterday for San Francisco. It feels like a lot of the really good players are not 100%. And the last we saw of Brock Purdy, he was like lying in a crumpled heap on the grass last weekend against the Seattle Seahawks after suffering a stinger. And now, here's just Jalen Carter and the Philadelphia Eagles defensive front. Jalen Carter's back at practice, and Lane Johnson's back at practice, and Nick Sirianni gave his team the week off last week, basically, and played backups against Washington and said, you know what? We want to get our guys healthy and get them right. We care about that more than we care about seeding. And at this moment in time right now, it feels like that was a good decision. We'll find out on Sunday. You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, Westwood One Sports, on this Thursday. Now, this line has gotten slammed over the course of the week. We're now Eagles minus 4.5. Do I want to lay 4.5 with the Eagles? I'll tell you what I don't want to do. I don't want to bet San Francisco at any of these. I would need 6 to consider betting the 49ers. I like the Eagles as a money line parlay piece. Now, the obvious connector here is, what about Eagles-Rams? Okay, like, you're not going to get, like, it's still a minus price, like minus 145, minus 150 for an Eagles-Rams 2-team money line parlay. Maybe you put the Bills in there if you like Buffalo. You like an NBA game tonight, a college basketball game tonight. I would be pretty surprised if the Rams lost or the Eagles lost this weekend. Yeah, Kenny Henderson in our chat, our engineer. Kenny will join us later in the show. Kenny says to put Indiana in there tomorrow against Oregon. That's not a bad one. Indiana, Rams, Eagles. Man, that's chalky. And sometimes chalk wins. I think the Eagles win on Sunday against San Francisco. Last game to hit for Sunday. We have a lot of comments in the YouTube chat about this game. How about our friend Rudy95? He likes Stephon Diggs over receiving yards. Drake May's number one guy that always performs in the spotlight. There's jokes to be made. I won't make them. Patriots number one in EPA with passing this season with what should be the MVP, Drake May. And there's a really fun conversation to be had about this, right? Because Drake May's had this legendary season for a second-year quarterback and could very well win MVP. Detractors of Drake May will point to the strength of schedule and the past defenses that the Patriots have played. And I'd like to split the difference here because this is like kind of the debate that kind of forces people to go nuts on either side. I think both things can be true. Drake May's awesome, and he faced a very soft schedule of opposing pass defenses. They both can be true. And I think that's a really fair way to put it. Sunday Night Football, NBC, Tirico and Collinsworth, 2 of the all-time greats. New England, a 3.5-point home favorite against Justin Herbert and the Bolts. Total is 46. The big injury thing in this game, Chargers rookie running back Omarion Hampton didn't practice on Wednesday. Feels like he's probably on the wrong side of it right now after what Jim Harbaugh said about Omarion Hampton yesterday. But we'll see what happens today and tomorrow, and we get a full practice report for this game. Now, at this moment right now, Justin Herbert, this is a dated reference, is like the knight from Monty Python. It's like missing limbs. He has been battered and bruised to such an unbelievable degree behind a Swiss cheese Los Angeles Chargers offensive line. Good thing for the Chargers, though, that the Patriots can't really rush the passer. And I don't like this Patriots defense. And I've said that all season long, and I've said it at points this week. Now, I love the Drake. I loved Drake May last year. If you missed it, you can go back and check it out. Find my social media. I've said Drake May is a star since his rookie season. I love Drake. Justin Herbert on Sunday night has a chance to be Kendrick Lamar. Da-da-da-da. And beat Drake. Jesse Minter, Chargers defensive coordinator, could very well be a head coach in the next month. We'll see how far the Chargers make it. Like, this is a step up in class from the vast majority of what the Patriots have faced this season. Do I think the Chargers will pull the outright upset? Maybe. I think it's definitely possible. Will I have a Chargers money line bet? I will. But the bet that I really love, you're going to give me 3.5 with the Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh, with Justin Herbert, with the better defense, and Herbert might have time to throw? Yeah. Los Angeles Superchargers. Give me the Chargers plus the points. We'll back it up with a bet on the money line. Do you think the Chargers can upset the New England Patriots? YouTube.com/@thekostos, 310-840-4910. We'll take a quick break, and coming up next, we'll wrap up our number one with one of the funniest trades in the history of sports and the 2 teams in the NBA that demand your attention and potentially your money here on Westwood One Sports.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
4.2. Down by 2. Jalen to get it in. They look, and here's Trey. He goes to the top. He drives. He puts it up. It's no good.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
That is a great job by Kenny with that sound. FanDuel Sports Network, courtesy of the call. Trae Young miss. What can you do? Trae Young, you are a Washington Wizard. We'll talk about the Trae Young trade in just a moment. 310-840-4910 is the phone number. Let's sneak a phone call in first. Matt in New York. Matt, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Nick?
Matt, what's going on? What do we got, buddy?
Hey, so you think Justin Herbert has any chance against this Patriots defense? And if the Patriots advance, do you think that solidifies Drake May the MVP?
All right, so good stuff from Matt there. To be fair, like I was told that there was a delay with the phone calls, and then I jumped Matt there. That's my bad. I'll get that right moving forward. I actually think Justin Herbert might rip up the Patriots defense. Like the Patriots can't really rush the passer. And I'm not trying to hate on New England. Again, like I think Drake May is an absolute star. But if they can't get pressure on Herbert with those receivers that Justin Herbert has, I think Herbert's going to have a big game on Sunday night. I don't know if it's going to get the Chargers over the finish line to win the game, but I definitely think they'll cover that number, 3.5. And I will have a bet on the Chargers on the money line. As far as the second part of Matt's question, which is, does it solidify Drake May as MVP? That's done already. Nothing that happens in the postseason will impact that at all. My guess is, after talking to a lot of people, and we did get someone chime in the YouTube chat, and forgive me just because it's a little far up on our show chat, asking if we'll be doing awards on this show. The answer to that question is yes, we definitely will be. This is now the 6th show on this new network, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to figure it out. Joey Knish is on the show today. We'll have some of your old favorites on the show tomorrow. And it was Mr. Alamo 2004. Thank you for that question. And we got something else really special planned, and I teased this on the old edition of You Better You Bet. So just if you want the awards conversation and like some of like the real in the weeds betting stuff, you're going to get it here on You Better You Bet. Thank you to Matt for the phone call, 310-840-4910. Close the hour here with some NBA. So last night, I actually snorted when I saw this. Not in the way like Tony Montana snorts. Trae Young traded to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. Trae Young traded for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. If you're asking yourself right now, what else? Nothing. That's it. Now consider this, because I've said this is a funny trade. Consider this. In 2018, and if you're a big sports fan, you already know this, and if maybe you're not a huge NBA fan, I'm going to enlighten you right now. On draft night in 2018, the Atlanta Hawks traded Luka Doncic to the Dallas Mavericks for Trae Young and Dallas's first-round pick in 2019. Atlanta used that pick to select Cam Reddish. I'd rather have a radish than Cam Reddish. I don't even like radishes. Luka Doncic for Trae Young and Cam Reddish. And what's funny about that, that's not even the worst trade involving Luka Doncic in Luka's career. Shout out to Nico Harrison. Maybe we'll see today the Lakers will trade Luka to the Celtics for like Hugo Gonzalez, Sam Hauser, and a bowl of New England clam chowder. Who the hell knows? With these Luka Doncic trades over the past 10 years in the NBA. Trae Young to the Wizards for McCollum and Kispert. Just from Luka to C.J. McCollum. How the mighty have fallen for Trae Young. Now, with that being said, and we can get our jokes off, and it is ridiculous that Trae Young's value, he's Enron. Like, he's Bernie Madoff. You want to talk about stocks that crashed? Like, that's what this is. It's crazy with Trae Young. No one would have ever believed this. Remember when the Hawks beat the Sixers in the Eastern Conference semifinals a couple of years ago? The year the Bucks beat the Suns in the title. They went to the Eastern Conference final. He got traded for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. We can get our jokes off. But from an actual basketball perspective, I love this trade for both teams. Trae Young is not the player that we thought he would be coming out of Oklahoma, right? He's not. He's not. Doesn't play a lick of defense. Clearly, like, his teammates didn't like him anymore in Atlanta. It's pretty obvious that. And Trae didn't want to play there anymore either. He just got traded. It's pretty obvious, right? But let's be clear. Trae Young is not a bad player. Trae Young is still a good basketball player. And on a team with a couple ascending young stars, whether it's George, whether it's Alex Sarr, whether it's Trey Johnson out of Texas, 6th overall pick in last year's NBA draft, Trae Young can absolutely elevate some of this young talent. The question for Washington is going to be, how many games is he going to play in this year for the Wizards? Because the Wizards, to quote Willa Ford from back in the day, they want to be bad. If the season ended today and it doesn't, and there's like the lottery, whatever, the Wizards would have the 4th pick in the draft, in a loaded NBA draft. And the Wizards cannot screw this up. They have to try and get a top pick this year. And then next year, they can figure it out with Trae Young, where they can absorb his high salary, and they can make a decision on him at the trade deadline, what they want to do with him. But this is a low-risk trade for the Wizards. I love it for the Wizards. And for the Hawks, it's addition by subtraction. Jalen Johnson is the star of this team and the future of the team. And they've gotten off to a rough start this year, but they have designs on competing in a wide-open Eastern Conference. I like it for Atlanta. Kispert can come in and shoot threes. McCollum is obviously a veteran that can get buckets when needed. We don't often get win-win trades in sports. I absolutely think we got one here with Trae Young to the Wizards. And I was going to say McCollum and Kispert to the Hawks, but really what it is, Trae Young no longer an Atlanta Hawk. Hour 1 done, hour 2 for you coming up on the other side. We will start hour number 2, previewing the college football playoff with Danny Cannell from CBS Sports.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
Wow, that didn't take long at all. Trae Young gets his preferred destination. He gets to, I wouldn't say ride off because he's still pretty young, but I mean, he's headed into irrelevancy, right? Trae Young is headed into irrelevancy. He can have all the 25-point and 13-assist games that he wants. He's going to be inefficient. He's not going to play defense. And you know what? He's probably going to be lauded for it. And the Washington Wizards, as long as he's on that team, they will never sniff contending an NBA title. He has probably, in my opinion, one of the most disappointing last 5 years from a supposed star player that we see today in the NBA. So he gets his wish. He gets to go to Washington. He'll never have to worry about playing defense. He'll never have to worry about trying to compete for a championship. And yet I kind of like Atlanta's haul. I kind of like Atlanta's return. I think Corey Kispert is a heck of a three-point shooter. I think he's a guy that can light it up. And CJ McCollum's kind of having a rejuvenation here this season in Washington. It kind of felt like CJ's career was on the downtrend after his time in Portland, then his time in New Orleans, and it didn't work out there. He's having a hell of a season in Washington. And now the Hawks, who are trying to make a push for the playoffs, hoping that Kristaps Porzingis can stay healthy, hoping that Jalen Johnson continues to develop. He's the star of that team now. Don't get it twisted. Jalen Johnson is a hell of a star. And then, look, I know there's been some friction, it looks like, between Quinn Snyder, the head coach, and Zachary Risa-Shea, their number one pick from last year, who certainly hasn't kind of panned out from the past number one picks that we've seen. At least they kind of salvage what was looking like another failed season where their star player could not be counted on. I think you now add CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert into the mix. You're building around Jalen Johnson, and it's a big if, but if Kristaps Porzingis can stay healthy, I think this Hawks team right now, they've struggled mightily. They can still turn this thing around. I honestly think Atlanta has a chance for a top 6 seed now that Trae Young is not on this team.
Biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The tremendous Football Thursday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and whoever the hell you are, here on Westwood One Sports. First hour of the show, all of my thoughts and bets coming up for Wild Card Weekend in the National Football League, and why I think, and I'll ask Danny Cannell about this over the course of the interview we'll have with Danny coming up in a moment. If the Buffalo Bills lose on Sunday in Jacksonville, Sean McDermott can't even be on the plane ride home. And John Harbaugh should be the next head coach of the Bills before the plane lands in Western New York. If that happens coming up on Sunday. And I also told you why I think the Trae Young trade from Atlanta to Washington to the Wizards is the rare win-win trade in sports. Pro sports bettor Joey Knish will join us in 40 minutes. His bets for the college football playoff. Joining us right now. Friend of the show, friend of mine, one of the best. Hashtag one of us. I remember spending a couple Saturdays with Danny at CBS back in the day, like sweating out Hawaii first quarter bets, like just absolutely the best. Former college football quarterback, NFL quarterback, one of the hosts of what I think is the best college football podcast, the Cover 3 podcast, courtesy of CBS Sports, with our friends Chip Patterson, Tom Fornelli, and Bud Elliott. CBS Sports HQ. and the co-host of Dusty and Danny, along with Dusty Dvorak, another friend of the show, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, Sirius XM Channel 84, the great Danny Cannell on Twitter at Danny Cannell, and Danny doing great work on behalf of our friends at Bet Online. Check out betonline.ag for updated college football playoff semifinal game and championship lines, along with the plethora of college football playoff props. I will just say this. BetMGM sponsors our show. I would like for everyone to bet at BetMGM. Danny's coming on the show. We do the Bet Online read for Danny. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Happy college football playoff semifinals, my friend.
Appreciate it, Nick. It is great catching up with you. It's great to see your face. It's been a minute. You are the reason I am with CBS Sports HQ, because I remember my first time down there taking a little visit to the Fort Lauderdale studios. You were with the company at the time. We went to lunch with our guy Port, and the rest is history. So, you were the reason that I am where I am, which I could not be happier. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, grew up in South Florida. I'm in here. It's 80 degrees out, not a cloud in the sky outside. So I owe it all to you for me getting back down to South Florida after living in New England for 5 years.
So what's really funny, I appreciate you say, it's not true. You're there because you're awesome.
100% is. You were the linchpin. You were the seal. You sealed the deal.
What's really funny about that? So just to peel the curtain back a little bit. So this is 2017, maybe 2018.
Yep,
at the time.
2017.
So Kieran Portley, who was my boss at the time at CBS, and ended up was Danny's boss also, tells me, Danny Cannell's coming in, we would do these things kind of in tandem together because he trusted my opinion, I trusted his opinion. He's like, I want you to come to lunch. Now, our listeners and viewers know this about me, and if you're a new listener and viewer on Westwood One Sports, you will learn this in short order. I am a lifelong diehard New York Football Giants fan. And Danny, in 1997, quarterbacked the Giants in Jim Fossil's first year to the NFC East Championship. May have been the wild card weekend loss to the Vikings really stunk. But I got for Christmas that year, my mom still has it in her house on Long Island in New York. I got a Danny Cannell Giants jersey for Christmas that year in 1997. So Port tells me this, and I'm like, no way. Danny, going to lunch with Danny Cannell. So for as good as that might have been for you, I promise you, when sitting at that lunch was surreal for me. And I'm sorry to fanboy out like that, but that's how I felt in the moment.
I love it. And then the Paul Rudd meme, look at us now.
Yeah.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
Look at us crushing it out here in the media space. Love it.
You guys and Chip is a friend, Cover 3 is sensational, and I encourage everybody to check that out. Dusty, I used to do Dusty's radio show in Oklahoma back in the day. He's killing it. Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM Channel 84, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. All right. I think we can, now that that's out of the way, we can talk some football here. I'm so excited for tonight and tomorrow. We'll start with tonight, with Ole Miss and Miami. I said yesterday, Danny, Miami's the better team. But Ole Miss has the X factor, the best player, Trinidad Chambliss. Miami, a 3.5-point favorite in the game as it stands right now at BetMGM. Might come down to 3 before kickoff. We'll see. Total in the game, 52.5. How do you see this one playing out in the Fiesta Bowl, Ole Miss and Miami?
So I like Miami, but that hook just kills me, right? The 3.5, because I do think it's going to be a close game. And if I like Miami, which I do, because I think they have the edge on the offensive and defensive lines. Line play is going to be so crucial in this game. Tempo is going to be important in this game because you have two total polar opposites as far as identity, what these teams want to do. Miami wants to run the football. They want to play great defense. They want to run Mark Fletcher, Carson Beck, don't screw it up, and they want to go slow. On the flip side, you got Ole Miss wants to go fast. They're 11th in the country in plays per game at 74.4. And they've got a quarterback who they're like, go win it for us, right? They're telling their quarterback the opposite of what Miami's telling Carson Beck. It's like, go be the hero. Go ahead, make those plays, just like he's done all season long and like he did against Georgia. But I do think Miami's defense has what it takes. They have the speed. I think they have the power and the speed. But Ruben Maine and Akeem Mesidor coming off the edge have been awesome. And they have been harassing quarterbacks. They've got 12 sacks in this playoff alone. So I do think they will do a good enough job of containing Trinidad Chambliss. And so my favorite play in the game is the under. I like the under 52.5 because I think Miami wins. If I had to pick one, I would probably lay the 3.5, but I do think I could see like a 20-17, maybe 21-17. It depends on where you are. So that number becomes huge to me, but I feel pretty good about the under. So, because I do think Miami's going to have some success slowing the game down. And Ole Miss, as good as they are, I think they'll score some points, but I don't think they're going to light up the scoreboard against this Miami team. So my favorite play is the under. I would lean towards Miami. I totally get it if somebody said, well, if that's the case, let me take Ole Miss in the 3.5. I totally get that side, but I do like the Hurricanes.
I want to, before we move on to Oregon and Indiana, ask you about Trinidad Chambliss, because I think, watching the Sugar Bowl last week against Georgia, I think a lot of people probably had the same experience I did watching that game, where we all know Trinidad. Yeah, well, I think like I know what you're saying. Like, I know who he is because I do the show, but a lot of people, that was his introduction on the national stage. But I'll say this, I knew who he was. I'm kind of like, man, I didn't know he's this. So I'm watching the game, and I never played, right? And I'm not grinding the all 22. I'm not an NFL draft expert. He looked to me like a guy that's going to play on Sundays and maybe get drafted early whenever he declares. You actually played in the NFL. Do you see that for Trinidad Chambliss whenever he declares for the NFL draft?
I do. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me a little bit of a bigger Kyler Murray, and not quite as twitchy, but he clearly has escapability. He clearly has the improvisational skills. So yes, I do think he will. And I think potentially, because I don't see him going in the first round because of the lack of success that even Cam Ward had last year, like shorter, more athletic quarterbacks have had. So I think he could drop to the second or even the third. But man, that is the sweet spot for me. If I find a quarterback that I really, really like a lot, maybe everybody else is a little bit cooled on, and I don't have a top 5 pick, and I can't get Mendoza or Dante Moore, who always come with such high variability. Even those two top quarterbacks, one of them's going to be a bust. Like history tells you, and I don't even know which one it's going to be. One of them's going to be a bust, and then you're on the hook, and you're kind of attached to him. You have to play years because you got to give him that chance because you took him with a top 5 pick. You get a guy like Trinidad Chambliss in the second or third round. I think of Jalen Hurts. I really liked him coming out of college. Eagles picked him up in the second round. I like that risk. It's not too risky. You could get an upside. And while he's Trinidad Chambliss is not Jalen Hurts, he's way more of a playmaker. I think that's where the sweet spot would be for me, where I would be more than comfortable taking Trinidad Chambliss in the second or even third round, saying, all right, we can put him on a really good team with a good roster, maybe even have him back up somebody who's older. Think of Pittsburgh Steelers. If they brought back Aaron Rodgers for another year, I think that'd be a great spot for him. Something along those lines. I think you could have a franchise quarterback on your hands.
And we'll see. Chambliss, I think, is trying to get a waiver extension to play at Ole Miss next year. May not. That's kind of still up in the air. That, I think, man, I love that for the Steelers if they were to do that. And we'll see what happens tonight with Chambliss, if he can improve his draft stock against Miami. All right, let's move to tomorrow night. And I think it's the national championship game in the Peach Bowl. I think winner of this game will win the Natty. Maybe you think Miami can beat either of these teams. I don't see it. Curt Cignetti in Indiana, 3.5-point favorite against Oregon. We're kind of in between 3.5 and 4. Total in the game's 48.5. Do you see it that way? That winner of this game wins the Natty? And who do you like on Friday night in the Peach Bowl?
I do. I had in my bracket, when I came up with these, I had Miami facing Oregon in the national championship. So I've been very bullish on Oregon since the final 4 weeks of the season. I think they're a really talented roster. Now, I was in Miami. I was at the Orange Bowl, saw them against Texas Tech. And I must say, I left a little underwhelmed. I was hoping for a better performance, specifically from the offense. It was a little bit sloppy. They only put up 23 points. But the good news is their defense was lights out. Their defense was spectacular. Pitched a shutout, picked off Baron Morton a couple times. And as much as I like Dante Moore, he has not had sort of that game. He did have a good throw against Iowa. He had a drive at the end of the Iowa game in the rain. It was a phenomenal throw to Malik Benson. One of the best throws of the year. But I try to go back and say, which game did Dante Moore play great from start to finish? And I can't think of it. And so I was kind of banking on him kind of peaking at this time. And if he still does, I'll be right in my prediction because I do think he's that good. But I am a little bit worried. So I kind of, in this game, similar to last one, I know it's no fun. Fans want to play the over. I like the under, but it's a little bit lower. So I'm a little bit more concerned about it. I like the under, but I do like the Ducks because I do think their defense can keep them in it. They actually ran the ball in the first game pretty well with Noah Whittington. I know their backup running back is out, but they have a ton of depth. They got De'Aaron Hill, a young freshman who's been really good for them. So I do like the Ducks, especially since it is 3.5. I think this game will be more similar to the Big Ten championship game where Indiana, Ohio State, a lot of great athletes on the field, but they tackle so well, both of these teams. So I do like the Ducks getting the 3.5. I would even sprinkle a little money line because of the factor that it is hard to beat a team twice. I do think Oregon was surprised by the physicality the first time in the regular season at Autzen. It was Dante Moore's first really big game at home that he had to play against that type of caliber of opponent. I think he'll play cleaner. So I'm going to go kind of with that mindset that it is hard to beat a team twice.
How are we just going to gloss over the fact that you had Miami, Oregon in the national championship game prior to the playoff starting? Like that's pretty unbelievable. You just kind of snuck that in there. If I were you, I'd be like, I would have that tattooed on my forehead at this time of year. No one had Miami in the national championship game.
So, couple things. One, I don't ever like to celebrate until it's done. I don't want to pound my chest now and then they both lose and it doesn't mean anything. So thankfully, it was a clip on CBS Sports HQ on their social account. I think it's College Football CBS, their account on Instagram. They did clip it. And so I've got it there ready for me. And a bunch of Miami fans, because I was pounding the table for Miami to get into the playoff. And one of the things I thought, and I really believe this, was if they got the opportunity, they could do some damage. Because at one point they were 6-0 and everybody, not me, everybody in the country was like, this could be a national champion. And then because of a loss against Louisville, which their quarterback threw 4 interceptions, they still only lost by a field goal. And another game they lost on the road to a really good SMU team with a late interception in overtime. And everybody just wrote them off. They must be awful. I don't think those were awful losses. In fact, I think they're losses you can learn and grow from. And so they kind of found that identity. And I still think they have all those players that everybody thought could be the number one team in the country, but bailed on them. I think they're the closest thing to last year's Ohio State team that we have. Remember Ohio State 10-2, left out, disappointing loss to Michigan, but they got hot at the right time. That to me is what it feels like. This Miami team has a very clear identity. They're going all out. I do think they're the team that's probably playing with the most momentum. Indiana's hard to argue against. I mean, they haven't slowed down at all. But as far as somebody who's dealt with some adversity, I think Miami's right there.
You better you bet here, Westwood One Sports on a Thursday. Nick Kostos here with you. Our guest, Danny Cannell from the Cover 3 podcast, CBS Sports HQ, Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM Channel 84, doing great work with our friends over at Bet Online. Couple more minutes with Danny on Twitter at Danny Cannell. So we talked about this off air, right? And I don't know your relationship with Michael Strahan, who you played with the New York Football Giants. So I thought, and just to say this, I think I disagree with your take, but reasonable minds can disagree. You also played the position. And Danny questions on CBS Sports HQ if Jackson Dart is definitely the answer for the Giants, which is a very fair thing to say. I kind of think, at the very least, he's earned an opportunity to start in week 1. I'm a little bullish on Jackson Dart. I thought that was a totally reasonable take by you. And Giants fans are up in arms about it because somehow Giants fans have become the most sensitive fan base in all of sports. You got Jackson Dart's dad calling you out. It's like, slow down, buddy. And then Michael Strahan takes a shot at you, right? And maybe it's tongue-in-cheek. I don't know your relationship with him. He said, Strahan, about you, Danny played 2 good games and got a new contract. Relax there, Danny. Now, I was there at the wild card game in a minute. You won the division, so this is more than just 2 good games. What do you want to say right now to your former teammate, Michael Strahan, and what did you feel about what he said about you?
First of all, I would say 2 games is pretty complimentary because I was very average. I don't know. It's hard to find one great game that I had. So I think he was being pretty complimentary. I always had a great relationship with Strahan. I haven't talked to him. We haven't stayed in touch. I've done some interviews with him, and he's always been pretty good to me on air. I do remember us. There was always a back and forth. He was on the defense side. I was on the offensive side of the ball. And even I was on the Falcons. He was playing for the Giants. I came in. Chris Chandler gets hurt. And he's running after me. He's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. You can't wear that red jersey anymore because he had a different color jersey. I'm not non-contact. And so I was live, and he kept getting very frustrated because I kept throwing the ball away. And so he's chasing me down. He's like, damn it, stop throwing the ball away, kind of laughing. So I think it's one of those things where I don't take much personally at all. I think it was a cheap shot, but I think it was kind of funny. Like, I get it. So I don't have that big of a problem with it. But what I am blown away by is what you said. The thing, like, you would have thought that I said Jackson Dart was the next Jamarcus Russell or Ryan Leaf. Like, and I didn't say anywhere close to that. You clearly have seen some really good things from Jackson Dart this season, but I need to see more. And I am one of the slowest to get on board because how many times have we seen great players have one good season and then all of a sudden they either get paid in some circumstances and they never recover that, or they have a sophomore slump. They're just not all the expectations, because after a year of game tape, every defense that Jackson Dart is going to face next year is going to be ready for his running. And I know, why can't you do that in the season? There's just not enough time, and games aren't specifically game planning that much for it. And sometimes they think, well, is that an anomaly? Now that they know, they will be geared up to stop him as a runner. And again, at times he played really good the last couple games of the season, threw the ball pretty well. But a lot of his plays are improvisation, getting out of the pocket. That's not a way that's sustainable in the NFL. So I want to see him win more from the pocket. The other thing I want to see is who the heck his head coach is going to be. He's already learning his second system in the NFL, which is a big challenge. Nobody understands how mentally tough that is on somebody. I get he's getting Malik Neighbors back, but he's going to lose some other pieces. It's a whole new team. It's a new organization, new culture when you get a new coaching staff. So I think there's more than enough reason to be like, I don't know. And that's essentially what I was saying. And I don't think you or Strahan or everyone else who is bullish would be like, yeah, let's give him an extension. Like, no one's that bullish on him. And I get the optimism, but I'm just not as quite sure as everybody else. And so, I don't know. I thought the overreaction, Giants fans, they are trashing me online, saying I'm the worst quarterback in the history of the franchise.
Can I ask you this? Which is, and let me tell you, I've been watching the Giants for almost 4 decades. Danny is far from the worst quarterback. Not even like the top 5 worst quarterbacks of the 90s that played for the Giants. Like Dave Brown would probably be number 1 on that list for yours truly. No disrespect to Dave Brown. Last thing, just in 30 seconds here, I'll defend you to Giants. Danny won the division. That it is a thing that happened. You can't take that away.
The defense won
What would
the
you
division.
say? Well, you were the quarterback. It happened. I saw it happen with my own eyes. What would you like to say in 30 seconds to I'll say it for you, and then I'd like your reaction. I think Giants fans give you way too hard a time. What would you like to say to what I can say, and I'm part of it, a very sensitive fan base?
I like the passion. I'd rather see a fan base that cares that doesn't. I played in Atlanta. When you were bad, nobody showed up. I do think the passion is awesome. I'm not asking for anything. I love the fan base. In that, when I see them in person, they're always very cordial. They remember that 97 season. So there's nothing really offensive that I take to it. I understand. But trust me, I think this is years of pent-up frustration, which I'm experiencing as well, and you are too, of why can't this franchise figure it out as far as coach, quarterback, GM, all of it. And I get the frustration. Just don't make me the brunt of it. That's all I ask. There you go.
I'll tell you, 95, 96 with Dan Reeves missing the playoffs a couple times, win the NFC East. This is 5. I get the frustration. I think it's very misguided. You're the best. Cover 3 podcast, CBS Sports HQ, Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM, doing great work for our friends over at Bet Online. Don't be a stranger. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.
You got it, Nick. Great catching up.
Danny Cannell joining us here on You Better You Bet. And Dan, I'll take credit for Danny's career at CBS. He wants to give it to me. I appreciate that very much. Love Danny. Great work by Danny Cannell. Joey Knish, Pro Sports Bettor, will join us at the end of the hour. He'll give us his best bets for the semifinal rounds of the college football playoff. But on the other side, we will debut a brand new segment here on You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. We're going to play a lot of sound. We will react to the sound. I've done a poor job, I think, promoting it. It's coming up next. I promise it'll be way better than my tease.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
The semifinals in college football are here, and whether you're riding on an upset or hoping the favorite dominates, betting with a boost makes every playoff moment even more memorable. Activate today's Odds Boost token on any college football playoff game, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. How awesome is that? Download the BetMGM app, visit BetMGM.com. Do it today, or right now, so you can make it legendary. Because let's be honest. You're watching the show. You're listening to the show. And by the way, shout out to everyone in Nesson Nation watching the show in New England. We appreciate all of you very much. Radio stations nationwide, Sirius XM 375, YouTube and Twitch. We love it. If you're in the audience right now, I'm guessing at the very least you have a perfunctory interest in sports betting, if not someone who bets somewhat regularly. If you're going to bet, why not do it with a boost? Do it at BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app, visit BetMGM.com, and please gamble responsibly. Let's sneak a YouTube comment in here before we debut our new segment here on the show. This comes courtesy of our friend, Talking Sports and More. I'd like to know what the and more is. As a Wizards fan, I don't know there were that many. That's a low blow. I apologize. I find it crazy that Trae Young would want to come to us considering that we're nowhere near competitive. I think it's more that Trae Young has like a $50 million player option that the Wizards can afford to pick up. Like, that's why the Wizards have salary cap space, and Trae Young's going to be able to put up huge numbers and be kind of like the heliocentric member of this team. Trae Young probably right now at this point in his career is about the money and is about the stats, and you can criticize him for that, I guess. I won't. I understand where he's coming from, and I think there's a chance. You know, Wizards get a top pick this year. This draft is loaded like we've talked about with Peterson and DeBonsa and Cam Boozer and a host of others. If the Wizards can land one of those guys to pair with Trae Young, to pair with Trey Johnson, with George, with Sarr, not that they're going to be a championship contender immediately, but that's a fun team all of a sudden and kind of being led out of the wilderness a little bit. So I totally get it from Trae Young's perspective, and I would just encourage the Wizards fans out there, allow yourself to be a little happy about this. I think Trae Young is still a good player. I don't think he's as good as we thought he would be, but he is definitely not bad. Okay. You bet on this Thursday on Westwood One Sports. We're going to welcome to the show now, and we'll bring our executive producer, Bill Zimmerman, on, our technical director, Tyler Morales, maybe our video producers, Dan the Man Turner and downtown Mike Brown. But we wanted to empower our engineer on the show, our friend Kenny Henderson, who will come on video right now. Let's put Kenny on. Kenny, who has like the jawline of like a movie star. I don't know why he's like doing sports radio for a living, but I appreciate that he is. Kenny has grabbed a bunch of sound for the show today. We will play it and we will react to it. I have no idea if Kenny's going to be good on the air. We've never done this before, so maybe this will be a disaster. Maybe it'll be great, but Kenny wanted to give you the opportunity. Introduce yourself to the audience, please.
I'm Kenny Henderson, big Chicago sports fan.
We're off to a great start. Please continue.
Yeah, happy to debut Kenny's Corner here today on You Bet You Bet. We don't have imaging yet, but we do have a bed. So we'll play the bed and we'll get in.
Yeah, play the bed, but like tell the audience, because you're a big Chicago sports fan. Tell the audience like a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, sorry.
Like Kenny's on a dating show.
Yes, this is like that is our executive producer,
I'm 26 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 26 years old. I was born in California, moved to Chicago when I was 5, and like I said, been a Chicago sports fan ever since. Big, huge sports fan. Nick has mentioned me as being, top 1%. I appreciate that. Like I said, 26. I mean, I don't know how deep you want me to go into my introduction, but that's all I got for right now.
Outside of sports, what would you say is your primary hobby?
Probably music, but I'm not the deepest in music. I'm a huge rap music fan, so that comes with the bed. It's a Lil Wayne Birdman instrumental.
Who is your favorite rapper of all time? And we will judge you on this. And for the YouTube commenters and for anyone on the phones, 310-840-4910. Kenny Henderson's best rapper of all time is who and why?
Lil Wayne is the greatest rapper of all time.
Now, this is Lil Wayne like on Scissorp or Lil Wayne not on Scissorp?
On Scissorp for sure.
I was gonna say, dude, he is Tyler, what's the song where like he actually makes no sense? Can you believe it, right? With T-Pain? When Lil Wayne's verse is just basically him going like this. Like he doesn't even make sense. Okay, so let's play the instrumental here, Lil Wayne and Birdman, and let's debut Kenny's Corner, both spelled with a K. Oh, Stunned Like My Daddy. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I think this will go well with the highlights. So we'll start in the NBA, as last night we had not one but two buzzer-beating game winners, and I want our crew to pick which one was better. So
All
the
right,
first coming from
Kenny, I'm very sorry, but this is good news. We have to stop Kenny's Corner for right now because we have breaking news in the world of sports.
Okay.
So that's what an okay. Kenny's segment just got railroaded. So next hour on the show, Kenny's Corner will debut in the spot that we had something else ready to go. So Kenny's Corner will be next hour on the show. Because we have major break. I almost want to play Stunned Like My Daddy to talk. I don't, but I kind of want to. Major breaking news in the world of sports. I told you this was going to happen yesterday. I'm not surprised at all. The Miami Dolphins, per NFL media insider Tom Pelissero, have fired head coach Mike McDaniel. Miami just gathered the team at a meeting per Pelissero. I'm reading his tweet verbatim right now. Miami just called a meeting and informed the staff Mike McDaniel is out as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins after 4 seasons. And the writing was on the wall for this when it was announced a couple weeks ago. It's really funny. Here's this new segment. NFL head coach gets fired. We'll debut it in an hour from now. That is outstanding. When it was announced that Troy Aikman, ESPN Monday Night Football, you know, the Hall of Fame quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. When it was announced that Troy Aikman was going to consult on the Miami Dolphins general manager search, like you knew at that moment that Mike McDaniel's done. Like Mike McDaniel, and I know this because we have talked to a lot of people on the show over the years that I would consider to be old school #football guys, with a nod to our friends at Pardon My Take, the football guys. Like Mark Schlereth, who's been on the show a million times. Like Brian Baldinger, who's been on the show a million times. And not that they think Mike McDaniel's a bad coach. That's not what it is. But that maybe Mike McDaniel and his style doesn't play well when you can't really run the ball. And to be fair to them, they did run the ball better towards the end of the year. And they're not really that physical of a team. And most importantly, the wins and losses haven't been there over the last couple of years. So for me, and I said this in the moment, when it was announced that Troy Aikman was going to consult here, to me, that was it for Mike McDaniel. Because I can't imagine Troy Aikman being like, yeah, let's bring Mike McDaniel back. I couldn't imagine it. And I don't think Mike McDaniel deserved to come back. And I've said that as well. Like, you can't have things go the way they've gone and just roll it back for another season. Like, I don't care that Tua Tagovailoa was miserable. And you can certainly make a case that the faults and the foibles and the losses for the Miami Dolphins were way more on Tua Tagovailoa than they were on Mike McDaniel. Like, you can make that case. And by the way, if you want to chime in on the Dolphins firing Mike McDaniel, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@thekostos, youtube.com/@thekostos. You can make the case Tua was more to blame. It doesn't matter. Mike McDaniel is part of the brain trust, along with fired Chris Greer, the general manager, who lost his job after the Thursday night loss to the Ravens, who decided to pay Tua and give him this contract. Like, you don't think Mike McDaniel signed off on that? Of course he did. And that decision to tether themselves to Tua Tagovailoa obviously cost them their jobs. Because I think Mike McDaniel, in all seriousness, I don't know if he's a good head coach. We could probably say he's not. Although we've seen worse head coaches get a second chance before than Mike McDaniel. We know that Mike McDaniel is a badass offensive coordinator. And I'm fantasy booking right now. Like, imagine if John Harbaugh said, I'm coming with Mike McDaniel to be the head coach. Like, I want to coach a team and Mike McDaniel's my OC. I mean, this is the dream. Or if, like, the Eagles get bounced in the divisional round and fire Kevin Patullo, or lose on Wild Card Weekend and fire Kevin Patullo. Could you imagine Mike McDaniel coordinating the Jalen Hurts Philadelphia Eagles offense? Last hour on the show, we've had so much, we haven't even gotten to this yet. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers fired offensive coordinator Josh Grizzard. Baker Mayfield's going to have a new offensive coordinator. Todd Bowles throwing everyone overboard on the pirate ship to save his own ass. I don't blame him. Imagine Mike McDaniel coordinating the Bucs offense. Like, Mike McDaniel in Cleveland, Mike McDaniel in Atlanta. He's a great play caller and a great offensive designer. He needs a quarterback that can push the ball down the field. That was not noodle arm Tua Tagovailoa with his fake teeth. They are great fake teeth. He's got a badass Samoan tattoo. I love it, and I mean that seriously. But Tua can't play. He'll be a bridge starter or a backup moving forward for the rest of his career and be very well compensated for doing so. So I'm not trying to bury Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel should be coaching in the NFL next year as an offensive coordinator. And just to say, as a New York Football Giants fan, if you told me Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator of my team, I'm doing cartwheels. Now, obviously Kevin Stefanski wouldn't hire him because Stefanski would call the plays. But that's how strongly I feel, how positively I feel about Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. And Bill, our executive, Bill, come on and say what you just wrote in the chat because I think this is a great point.
I was just saying, could you imagine if Matt Nagy gets a job? I think Andy Reid's too loyal. He's not going to fire him. But Mike McDaniel playing with Patrick Mahomes, just what he could make with that offense would be incredible.
I agree completely. If Matt Nagy gets the Titans job, Mike McDaniel goes to Kansas City to call the offense for the Chiefs. Oh, you're cooking with gas if that happens. So Mike McDaniel's going to get another job, whether it's a coordinator. I think he should be a coordinator, and he'll be great at it. But for the Miami Dolphins, this had to happen. You got to wash your hands of Tua. That's next, is you buy out Tua Tagovailoa. You pay the money to have him off the roster. And whoever the next general manager is can hire the next head coach, and you can kind of move forward from there and hope that this time you get it right. Now, the Dolphins, unfortunately, are probably not ready to compete next year, even if they nail the draft and they nail free agency. The offensive line is still not where it needs to be. Tyreek Hill will almost certainly be playing elsewhere next season. Outside of Jalen Waddle, there's not much there in the passing game, unless you think Darren Waller can keep it going. I love Devon Achane. How's Devon Achane going to look in the non-Mike McDaniel offense that is schemed literally for someone of his talents? The defense got better as the year went on after trading Jalen Phillips, and that's a credit to defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. And maybe Weaver gets a long look to be the head coach of the team. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Miami probably needs a couple off seasons still. So whoever gets this job, and if you're a Dolphins fan, you could hire John Harbaugh. That could happen, right? Let's say that happens. I don't think the Dolphins are winning in 2026. They don't have the horses yet on the roster to seriously compete. And I'm not trying to throw cold water on this. I think this is a good day for the Miami Dolphins. But it's probably not going to happen soon. You're a Dolphins fan, you're going to have to be patient. Be patient with this rebuild. It's going to take at least one full off, into 2 full off seasons, and you can compete in 2027. So Mike McDaniel fired by the Miami Dolphins. I like it for Miami. And now Mike McDaniel can go be a play caller, hopefully with a quarterback somewhere else, and really show just how electric of an offensive mind he is. On the other side, we'll be joined by pro sports bettor Joey Knish. Knish's best bets for the semifinal rounds of the college football playoff. Our poor friend Kenny Henderson. Kenny's Corner coming up next hour here on You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
We'll get more into the breaking news of Mike McDaniel fired by the Miami Dolphins next hour here on Westwood One Sports. Do you think this was the right move for the Dolphins to fire Mike McDaniel? I absolutely do, while still acknowledging that I think Mike McDaniel is a great play caller and offensive mind. YouTube.com/@thekostos, 310-840-4910 on the phone lines. The college football playoff semifinals are here, and whether you're riding on an upset or hoping the favorite dominates, betting with a boost makes every playoff moment even more memorable. Activate today's Odds Boost token on any college football playoff game, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. Download the BetMGM app today. You know, I get a lot of notes from people who are like wondering where like the guests that we would have on regularly on You Better You Bet in the old time slot. Just want to say this now, just for those people. Drew Dinsick tomorrow on You Better You Bet. Rob Pizzola tomorrow on You Better You Bet. We won't tell Rob this, Kanish, but I think I get asked about you more than anybody else. Joining us right now, pro sports bettor, who is the host of Hit the Books on the Hammer Betting Network. If you want a great college football betting show, Hit the Books with Joey Kanish and Brad Powers in podcast form and on YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts. Hit the Books at Joey Kanish 22. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Nicky K, baby. Hey, and don't you forget it. That's what I can't believe it. I'm sure you get messages. I feel bad, that your inbox filled up with the Bring Joey K Back Nation. I mean, nobody wants to hear the pizza man. Everybody knows I'm carrying the network over there. Good to be back on YB with the man himself, Joey K. Hey, a little under the weather this week. Wouldn't stop me, baby. Jordan flu game here, YB, no matter what.
Well, yeah, actually, I was going to say, because normally you're like a 15 out of 10 on the energy scale. You're still like an 8.5, but there is this contrast there. So I appreciate you joining us a little under the weather. Good news. It's a shorter segment because we had the Mike McDaniel breaking news. So let's get right into it, my friend, with bets for the college football playoff semifinal. And Kanish, a professional sports bettor, very entertaining, perfect guest for this show. Kanish, Miami, 3.5-point favorite against Ole Miss tonight, 52.5. What do you got?
Listen. Hurricane, get your umbrella out. Give me the Hurricane Nation here. I think Miami better in the trenches, both sides, defensive line, offensive line. I can go to Nicky narrative straight here and talk about the Ole Miss coaching staff, who they're missing, all that. I know the adversity there, and you can kind of get a little bit of rally the troops for Ole Miss. I really think though this is where it starts to have a big impact of you're going now like third week in a row, limited staff, less game planning, and against a team that I just think is better than you. Like, you haven't faced that in the first two rounds here. Georgia, super disappointing. Tulane, obviously G5 fraud here. Now I think you're getting probably the best team in the country in the trenches overall in Miami. I think it's a bit too much for Ole Miss. Laid it with the Canes now. There's some threes coming, popping around. Give me Miami. Give me them to go play for a natty.
Yeah, the line at BetMGM is still Miami 3.5, but it looks like we're going to drop down to 3. Which, to Kanish's point, I like Ole Miss 3.5. I can be wrong. You, the listener, you, the viewer, don't have to agree with me. If you like Miami, please find a 3 to lay 3 with Miami. And if you like Ole Miss, bet plus 3.5. Give yourself the best chance to win. Kanish, tomorrow night, Peach Bowl. I think this is the national championship game. Winner of this game, I think, wins the Natty. Indiana, in between a 3.5 and 4-point home favorite against, or not home favorite, but favorite against Oregon. 48.5 the total. What do you like in the Peach Bowl?
I'm with you here. In lockstep that this is your early national championship game here. You know what? I love just the Oregon, and we'll take another trip back to Nicky narrative straight here. The fact that Oregon got beat at home against the Ducks here. They knew what they had to do. They were not as healthy as they were coming into this game. And I think you get a bit of a talent, I'm not going to say disadvantage, but you saw it against Ohio State, where I think Ohio State did not have a great game plan, didn't play particularly well against Indiana. And don't get me wrong, love Signetti, great, yada, yada, all the kudos in that. I just think Oregon getting the 3.5 at this level, I'm not even saying Oregon is going to win outright, but to me, I think you're getting the slightly more talented team that's now as healthy as they've been all year, and I'm getting over 3 and a hook. took the points here with the Ducks. I think, to me, this one's going down the wire. I could even see Indiana, winning by 1, 2, or 3. But give me the Ducks here. I just got to take the number in terms of the points in what I think is a slightly better team now. Now that you've got DeCorian and Moore back, now that you've got some of your offensive linemen back, I think you've seen Oregon really step on the gas pedal as they've gotten healthier. And this is just I love the fact that, hey, got beat earlier in the year by him. Now you get your little, hashtag revenge game here, and you're getting the points. Give me the Ducks and the number.
I appreciate your dedication and your willingness and desire to come on. You are clearly not doing well right now. So I feel bad for even asking. We'll do one more question and we'll let you roll because I can tell that you're under the weather here. Do you have a best bet for us in the audience, Kanish, our listeners and viewers, for Wild Card Weekend in the NFL? Any one of the 6 games tickle your fancy?
Listen, they could be. You could have me. I could be, in the ICU, baby, and I'd be coming here, telling them I got to get on with YB. Give me, and I hate to do this. I really hate to do this because it's 2 teams. Give me the Chicago Bears, and I hope tell Zimmerman not to text me ever again if this pick loses. I tell you what, if the Bears at home, Packers a little beat up now. I like the Ben Johnson coaching staff. They've been getting a little bit, and then they lose last week against Detroit and the regular season on a bit of a sour note. Give me Chicago to step up, get the win at home. All year, I was saying, you know what? We're going to fade these frauds in the postseason. Not this week. I think there'll be a good Bears fade at some point, but they get it done at Soldier Field this week against the Pack.
You're the man. Thank you very much for the time. We'll let you roll here. Feel better. Hopefully we'll get you on again before the national championship game. At Joey Kanish22 on Twitter. Hit the books with Brad Powers on the Hammer Betting Network, podcast form, or YouTube. Feel better, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Have a good weekend. Good luck on the bets.
Joey Kanish joining us here. Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet. Tyler Morales is our technical director, has been with the show since day one. Tyler, is he the sickest person, in the head? Yes, that's true also. Have we ever had a guest on the show that has been, ill like that, where it's been very obvious that the person is sick?
No, yeah, that was a big-time flu game from Kanish there. It was very evident from the second he said hello that he was under the weather there.
Bill, what do you think he has?
I don't know. At one point, it sounded like he was suffocating underneath you. Like you could hear him mouth breathing. So I think he's got a serious head cold.
You know what? I gotta stand up right now and just stand up for some people. We all will say mouth breather as a form of derision, right? Like someone's an idiot, they're a mouth breather. I'm a mouth breather. I don't know what to say about it. I have to wear a CPAP. I'm in good shape, and I have to wear a CPAP machine because I have sleep apnea. And I look like I'm in Top Gun with the mask over my face. Like I'm Darth freaking Vader, man. I'm a mouth breather. You can say whatever the hell you want about mouth breathers. I'm one of them, damn it. Good job by our friend, Joey Kanish. He likes the Bears. I like the Packers. One of us will be wrong. It's him. Final hour, power hour coming up on the other side. Kenny's Corner. All our bets for tonight. And we'll hit a bunch of news in the NFL, including reiterating the Miami Dolphins firing Mike McDaniel.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and whoever the hell you are. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and visit BetMGM.com. Coming up later this hour on the show, all my bets for tonight in the world of sports, including we'll finalize my wager for Ole Miss and Miami tonight. Oh my God, I'm being serious. I love this stuff. I know you do also, our listeners and viewers. Of course, we all love it, but it's so great. We have a college football playoff semifinal game coming up tonight. Just texting with a potential guest to come on the show. I just wrote him to see if he can do something with us. We'll talk about that in a second. So I'll finalize the bet for Ole Miss and Miami. Anything in the NBA, anything in college basketball coming up at the end of the show. Kenny's Corner coming up in a little bit here, which was, and if you're a real one, like a longer time listener or viewer of You Better You Bet, like you know that was quintessential You Better You Bet. Like you couldn't make this up. We have this new segment ready to go. We've been really excited for it. We talked about it yesterday. We've talked about it this morning. We plugged it on the air today. Can't wait for it. Kenny plays the bed. He's ready to go. And then we get the notifications on our phone that the Miami Dolphins have fired head coach Mike McDaniel. Like, you can't make this stuff up. We will get to Kenny's Corner coming up in a little bit. I hope, unless there's another NFL head coach firing. So that was a delicious bit of You Better You Bet goodness there, with Kenny's Corner getting railroaded by the Dolphins firing Mike McDaniel. Do you, the listener, do you, the viewer, think the Dolphins made the right call? 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@the-Kostos. Got some YouTube comments about the Mike McDaniel firing. How about this from Insano7048? Took long enough. McDaniel should have been gone with the general manager. When Chris Greer got fired after the Thursday Night Football loss to the Ravens. Tua going to be gone as well. Large cap hit, but they're already cleaning house. Might as well take the hit for a total rebuild. They've got a young offensive line, defensive line, and running back room. Build from the inside out. I agree 100% with that. I think Insano, and to anyone out there that thinks the Dolphins are close, I can't say I agree with that. Maybe close where you could contend for a wild card berth potentially with the right coach. And in a second, I'm going to read you a tweet from ESPN NFL insider Jeff Darlington about what Miami might be planning next at head coach. So look, you get a quality head coach. Let's say it's John Harbaugh. We'll talk about that in a second. Could the Dolphins go 8-9 next year? Maybe, depending on who the quarterback is. Could they go 9-8? Within the realm of possibility. Jets can't be worse. Bills will have Josh Allen back. Drake May entering year 3. I think it's probably going to take a couple years for Miami. Get more young talent on the roster. They've got nothing at receiver, assuming Tyreek Hill's gone, and I think Tyreek Hill will be gone. It's just Jalen Waddle. Can Theo these are real people. Theo Wees Jr. There's multiple Washingtons, neither one George. Darren Waller. What are we doing here? What is this? The secondary's horrible. Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator, should maybe get a head coaching job because this Dolphins defense got better after they traded Jalen Phillips. And that sincerely, that's a big time credit to him. Insano adds, the Dolphins have been rebuilding for almost 45 years. 44 if we're being exact, after winning Super Bowl 8, going back-to-back, beating the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 8. Yeah, I get it if you're a disgruntled Miami Dolphins fan, but it is what it is. You got to take your lumps right now. They're not close to being a Super Bowl contender. Got to take a couple off seasons to get you there. How about our friend BV Malazzo? Says this is the best show in the new format. I appreciate you very much. And said, and loves Kenny's Corner. Well, let's see how Kenny's Corner goes when we actually execute that segment coming up in a little bit. Let's see. Okay. We may be joined by our friend John Jastrzemski coming up in a little bit. Celebrity Miami Dolphins fan, does great work for our friends at The Ringer. We'll talk about that during the break. Just texted me. Okay. This now from ESPN NFL insider Jeff Darlington. And it's kind of a lengthy tweet, so I'll try and paraphrase it the best I can. Quote, and this is from a couple minutes ago. Some context into the Dolphins' decision to fire Mike McDaniel. Owner Stephen Ross met with McDaniel on Tuesday, so 2 days ago, and left the meeting conflicted. He thinks Mike McDaniel is intelligent and has a great offensive mind, but he didn't feel like the results were there, and despite the end-of-year production, didn't feel comfortable moving forward. Darlington adds that he is told the Dolphins have not yet been in touch with John Harbaugh or anyone in his camp, which is just like, what are you doing then? I guess they still need to hire a GM, but I mean, if you're Stephen Ross, you could have the greatest GM hire of all time about to be made, and you'd still rather have John Harbaugh than the GM. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. People close to the decision are adamant that the decision to move on from McDaniel is independent of John Harbaugh's availability. Darlington is told that the Dolphins will conduct the head coaching search after a GM is in place, which should be in the next few days. It looks like the GM, the favorite to be the Dolphins GM, is Chad Alexander. I have no idea who that is. I'm not going to lie to anyone and say I think he'll be a good GM. He could be great. He could be terrible. No one knows anything about anything. Now, Alexander is close to Harbaugh. They do have a relationship. But again, people close to the situation tell Darlington the decision to fire Mike McDaniel would have been made either way. If I'm John Harbaugh, and I am not saying that John Harbaugh won't coach the Miami Dolphins. John Harbaugh absolutely could be the head coach. I'm not in his head. I don't know. But if it were me, and if it were you, the listener, the viewer, and let me know on YouTube if you agree with what I'm about to say. So put yourself, let's say you're John Harbaugh right now. I think you're going to agree with me, but maybe you won't. You know, you leave Baltimore, you've won a Super Bowl already, and my sense is if I'm John Harbaugh, I don't want to go through a 7-10 season. I don't want to have to go 8-9, 9-8, be hashtag in the hunt at the start of December. Like, that's not what I'm looking for if I'm John Harbaugh. I want to go somewhere and I want to win. Like, that's what I'm into if I'm John Harbaugh. And while the Dolphins are an attractive job just because, like, Miami's awesome and, like, I lived there. Danny Cannella and I talked about that earlier in the show. Like, we both used to live in Fort Lauderdale. He lives there now. Like South Florida is sick. It's a great place to live. Weather is awesome. Get paid a ton of money to live in that climate. I get it. But the Dolphins are not ready to win. They're not. And let's say the Bills lose on Sunday in Jacksonville to the Jaguars. I said in the first hour of the show, and I was right about Baltimore, and I think I'll be right about this. I don't think the Bills are going to lose. I like Buffalo in the game. If the Bills lose, it's a 1-point spread. They need to fire Sean McDermott in the same way the Ravens needed to fire John Harbaugh. And by the way, if and when the Bills lose and if and when they fire Sean McDermott, McDermott's going to get another job in this cycle the same way John Harbaugh is going to. Neither one is a bad coach, just like they need to go. If you're John Harbaugh, and look, I'm not trying to insult Buffalo. Like, Buffalo is not as good a city as Miami. Even if people like you can love it, Miami's better as a place to live, right? If you're John Harbaugh, would you rather coach in Buffalo or Miami? It's not even close. You'd rather go coach Josh Allen. Or if the Packers lose tomorrow night and they decide to move on from Matt LaFleur, and like, I'm not saying that would happen, but there is some smoke that maybe it could, or on Saturday night, excuse me. Wouldn't you rather go coach Jordan Love and Micah Parsons than the Miami Dolphins? So, like, this idea that, like, and I understand that any NFL team with a head coaching vacancy is going to be like, yeah, like, let's talk to John Harbaugh. And if you're an NFL insider, you're not doing your job if like him or her, if they're not reporting on that. Like the Tennessee Titans should be interested in John Harbaugh. Why would he take the job? But they should be interested, right? So I don't blame teams for trying. Why would John Harbaugh go to Miami? Like, if you're a Dolphins fan, honestly, I think you could do way worse than Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator. Way worse. I like him a lot. Would you consider Kevin Stefanski and a new quarterback? You do way worse than that. Maybe you stay on the defensive side of the ball. Jesse Minter or Shula. We'll see. I think Miami, get the right GM, get the right coach in place, couple off seasons away from seriously competing. I don't think John Harbaugh will take that job. You better you bet on this Thursday. Nick Kostos here with you on Westwood One Sports, youtube.com/@thekostos to join the comments. Like this one from Andy B2961, who is referring to the Miami Dolphins and says, nah, too many holes on that team. You're 100% right, Andy. I would be floored if John Harbaugh took the Miami Dolphins coaching job. Okay. We got a couple other NFL notes we got to hit. Just want to quickly just give you again my bets for the NFL playoffs that I gave out to start the show. I like the Rams and the Eagles as moneyline parlay pieces this weekend. Rams to beat the Panthers, Eagles to beat the Niners. I like the Packers, assuming there's no wind on Saturday night, to win in Chicago against the Bears. I'm probably going to bet the Bills. I haven't yet in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. I love the Chargers plus 3.5 in New England on Sunday night. And I do have a piece of Chargers money line. Agree or disagree? Let me know in the YouTube chat. 310-840-4910 on the phones. Other NFL coaching transactions on the carousel. We had so much yesterday on You Better You Bet that we didn't get to talk about the bloodletting with the Washington Commanders. As Dan Quinn, in an effort to save his own ass, I would do the same thing if I were him, mutually agrees to part ways, which is a really nice way of saying, in my best Vince McMahon voice, you're fired. Mutually agreed to part ways with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury and fires defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. Kenny writes in our chat, Kenny Henderson, our engineer, who you will hear from momentarily unless another coach gets fired or someone dies in Kenny's corner, that Jaden Daniels was apparently blindsided by the Cliff Kingsbury firing. Great. He'll get over it. Who cares? Who cares? Now, the Joe Witt firing, this was like what I said yesterday about Dan Campbell and John Morton. So, like, Dan Campbell took away the play calling duties from John Morton. There's a word that I want to use that rhymes with a curse word that starts with C, which is basically what Dan Campbell did to John Morton when he took the play calling away. Obviously, John Morton was not going to get the job, was not going to retain his job. In the same way that when Dan Quinn takes defensive play calling duties away from Joe Witt's not coming back as the defensive coordinator. Not a surprise. So we knew that would be the case, right? Cliff Kingsbury does come as a little bit of a surprise, even if I don't hate the move. My personal opinion is that Cliff Kingsbury, objectively, very handsome, right? Looks like Ryan Gosling. Kind of has oatmeal for brains. I don't get the NFL's fascination with Cliff. I think he is a pretty good play caller and like offensive schemer. He's not like McVay or Shanahan or Ben Johnson, not even close to being on that level. He needs to go coach in college again with a program with a big NIL budget. I think that would be really interesting. But like, if like the Titans hired him, like I would hate that. I'd rather Matt Nagy than Cliff Kingsbury. I'd rather the Giants, my team, hire anyone other than Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach of the Giants. So I don't hate this firing at all. And we'll see who the Commanders look to bring in. And the big focus for them, candidly, is not even really what's going on like on the field in terms of play calling on offense and defense. The Commanders' issues, and I lost money on them this season, right? I liked them to make the playoffs. I doubled down in season. It was a total disaster, right? But I said in the offseason that if there were going to be something that cost the Commanders, and I didn't heed my own advice, but like you saw the red flags, you saw them, right? I did at least. I think you probably did as well. Besides for Jaden Daniels, and I think that people got kind of the wrong idea about the Commanders roster because the quarterback was so good as a rookie entering year 2. That's an old-ass roster. Like the oldest roster in the league. And they like doubled and tripled down with the acquisitions over the offseason. And in one sense, you can kind of understand where they were coming from because like you have this window, right, with the quarterback on the rookie deal. You made it to the conference championship game in year one. Let's push some chips in and go all in and see what happens. What happens is it is the nightmare season of all time. What happens is you finish 5-12 and you end up with a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. So the Commanders, like, do they need a better offensive play caller and a defensive play caller that Dan Quinn can trust? Yes. They need to get younger. They have to get younger. This roster is way too old. And that's where I'm concerned about the 2026 Commanders. I don't know if you can fix this in one offseason. And it's possible that in 5 years, we'll look back on the decisions that Adam Peters and company made last offseason and say, like, the decision to not slow play this a little bit with Daniels, like, might have cost them during this rookie window that Daniels is under on the rookie contract. Probably, like, hindsight's 20/20. If it had worked, no one would be saying this, right? But now they're up against it a little bit. And what I think is likely, and maybe Daniels is so good it doesn't matter, but what I think is likely is by the time that they're good enough, again, to get really far in the playoffs without a ton of fourth down luck going their way, Daniels is either going to be on his second contract or really close to getting one. And you're going to be up against it financially a little bit. And look, there are way worse problems to have than paying like a stud young quarterback. And he is a stud young quarterback. But for 2026, we'll see what happens this offseason. I think I'll be on the Washington Commanders under next year. And just to get ahead of this, Dan Quinn, I'm stunned by some of the stuff I've seen on social media about people like Dan Quinn's job is safe. No, it's not. No way. The Commanders have another bad season next year. He's getting fired. You take that to the bank. 100%. Did anyone see the reports this week that the Commanders front office, etc., is getting involved in personnel decisions? You can take Dan Snyder out of the team, but can you? Doesn't feel like a great situation right now for the Commanders, despite having a great young quarterback in Jaden Daniels. And that is a really, really tough needle that the Commanders, unfortunately, look like they have threaded. Later this hour, all my bets for tonight in the world of sports, and I will finalize my play for Ole Miss and Miami. But on the other side, pending more firings or deaths or both, Kenny's Corner debuts on Westwood One Sports.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, bets for tonight coming up at the end of the show, but for right now, we all know this segment is cursed if, like, LeBron retires. I would do, like, a bet on, like, someone dies, but, you know, probably not in good taste. YouTube.com/@thekostos. Subscribe there to the new YouTube page. That will be the only place you can stream the show on YouTube starting on Monday. YouTube.com/@thekostos. Thanks to everyone for chiming in on YouTube. That's going to be a huge part of the show moving forward. And I think everyone can see that already, doing a ton of YouTube comments throughout the show. We absolutely love it. All right. Kenny Henderson is back with us. Kenny, that was, I feel like your initiative moment. Your initiation into You Better You Bet was having your debut segment railroaded by NFL coaching news. How did that feel?
It actually felt great because now I feel like it's going to flow better as opposed to, with that introduction and the Mike McDaniel news coming out. I felt like it just fits perfectly. And now maybe if another coach gets hired, maybe this will just become, either would that be a curse or...
Well, I'll tell you what I kind of think we should do, and I kind of want to, I need Tyler's, because Bill, our executive producer, Bill Zimmerman's 50. He's too old to give a great answer to this question. Tyler's in his early 30s. Tyler, I kind of think that when there's, like, big breaking news, unless it's, like, someone dies or something, in which case, like, we should not do it. I think we should play the Son Like My Daddy Is the Bet. I think that needs to be the bet on the show.
I kind of like it, and it's so funny. Like the second Kenny played the beat, like the second, maybe 2 seconds, the news drops. So yeah, maybe that's the new bit. I think, and it's a great beat too, by the way. It could be good underneath breaking news announcement. I like it.
Speaking of under, it sounds like you're underwater. Please fix your microphone before we bring you back on, Kenny. I'll introduce. You know what? I'll introduce this. So this is what the point of the segment is. We want to play a bunch of sound from the world of sports from the day before. A bunch of sound bites. It could be sports, could be play-by-play calls. I think we've got some non-sports stuff as well. Kenny will introduce it. Kenny will play the sound. We will react, and we will do it with Stuntin' Like My Daddy, Kenny, underneath us. So hit us with the beat and introduce the first sound bite, please.
Let's do it. And we will start in the NBA, as last night we had not one but two buzzer-beating game winners, and I want our crew to pick which call was better. So with the first one, coming from Hornets-Raptors, where the Hornets led by 2 in the final seconds, you could say this one ended quickly.
1.6 to go. Mamu quickly for the win! Quick does it at the end! Emmanuel Quickly! Call 5!
The other game winner...
Can I just say this quickly before we play that game winner? I didn't know that, and Quickly's a former Knick, so I have affinity for him. The call 5 thing, so Quickly makes this three-pointer to win the game. And just for some context on what happened. So Raptors and Hornets in Charlotte are tied at 94 at the end of the game. LaMelo Ball hits a layup, like drives to the lane, like dribbles the clock down, hits a layup with 1.4 seconds to go to put the Hornets up by 2. So the Raptors call timeout. Inbound to Quickly, who just chucks up a 3. He makes it. And barely reacts, like barely shows any emotion, but does like the call motion to his ear, and his jersey number is 5, and like call 5 is apparently a thing. I loved that. Loved it from Emmanuel Quickly. And I love the elongation of the and in. I like that a lot. So that's the first one, Kenny. What's the second buzzer beater? And then we'll decide which one's better.
So the other game winner was in another Eastern Conference matchup where the Magic played the Nets in Brooklyn. The Nets were able to take them to OT, but the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 draft wasn't leaving without the W.
2 seconds left. Nets by 2. Black gets it in. Banchero for the win. He banks it in. Are you kidding me? An unfathomable finish in Brooklyn.
Okay, couple things, and then we'll decide which one's better. And Kenny, I'm going to ask you in a second to play them both back-to-back before we make that selection. Bill, I love how Kenny is introing these cuts like he's a veteran. Like, dude, like he's a veteran update anchor. Like Paolo Banchero, or I guess you could say this game ended quickly. with the Manuel Quickly shot. So that is a great job by Kenny. And when Kenny plays the Banchero game winner last night when the Magic beat the Nets, one of my favorite things in play-by-play calls, and just like in sports, is when the road team wins at the very end and you hear the audience like groan in unison. So Kenny, let's hit us with it back to back. Quickly's game winner into Ryan Ruocco's call of the Banchero shot, and we'll figure out which one we like more.
1.6 to go. Mamu quickly for the win. Quick does it at the end. Emmanuel Quickly, call 5. 2 seconds left. Nets by 2. Black gets it in. Banchero for the win. He banks it in. Are you kidding me? An unfathomable finish in Brooklyn.
Honestly, like they're both good. How about this, Bill? First word to you, then Tyler, then Kenny. Which call is better, Quickly or Banchero?
I'm going to go with the Quickly call. They're a little more. The pain is good in the Brooklyn call, but I'm going to go Quickly. I think he nailed it.
I thought the Quickly one was great. The elongated win and then followed by like a little pause, like he was on delay, like when he was at the game, and the crowd reacts. I thought that was excellent. So love Ruocco, but the first call.
Yeah, I'm with them. I loved the call 5 at the end too. I know at the Auburn last year they were doing the call thing too. So that's a thing around basketball. Guys like to do that little signal. So I love that at the end. Ryan Ruocco's a legend, but I love the Quickly call.
I'll go with my guy, Ryan Ruocco, just because we both went to Fordham, but both calls are absolutely sensational. And again, I love a good groan. Kenny, what's next?
Sticking in the NBA, I don't know what it is like to have an NBA without LeBron James in it. I was born in 1999, so I was 4 when he was a rookie. And it looks like that time may be coming up. So the other day, he had this to say about playing back-to-backs.
I'm 41 years old. Of course, there's always every back-to-back. Every back-to-back for the rest of the season is TBD. I am 41. I got the most minutes in NBA history. Bank it right now, okay? What are we talking about?
By the way, another like professional throw to the soundbite there. Kenny, I'll be serious. There are some update anchors around the country who get paid to do their job, and that Kenny's way better than they are, and he just started doing it. We have some crappy update anchors around this country. Kenny's better than all of them. So I'm going to give what I think, guys, is a contrarian opinion here. I've never not liked LeBron James. I've always liked LeBron, and I feel like he's a real light, and I don't care about politics and that. I'm just talking about like as an athlete. A lot of people don't like LeBron. I've always liked him. So I feel like I like this version of LeBron, but I've always liked LeBron. I'm guessing like not everyone here has probably liked him his whole career. Old LeBron, I like quite a bit. Bill, Tyler, Kenny, go ahead.
All right, yeah, I think old LeBron, and he's 7 years younger than me, but I think old LeBron is very likable. I love this cut. I think he's honest all the time. He's like younger LeBron bothered me. When he went back to Cleveland, and I think he kind of matured and went to the Lakers, I love that guy a lot. The younger guy, when he's just like, basically when he lost, whatever, I don't remember which series it was, he's like,
it was to the Mavericks,
all the haters
in the NBA Finals.
All the haters are gonna be miserable, and I'm LeBron James, basically, is what he said. That was
I
was
love
rough.
that. He's right.
Yeah, no, But, I cheered for Dirk and the Mavs so hard in that series. I was so happy for that. But, yes, all the LeBron MJ stuff aside, which, when you're a Chicago guy, it's tough to deal with all that all the time. But putting all that aside, I love this version of LeBron James.
Yes,
I think he's great.
Yes, let's bust out the violin to play for the Chicago Bulls. Wow, very tough to deal with your 6 championships for Michael Jordan. Okay, enough from Bill. Tyler, your thoughts on LeBron?
Yeah, Bill's a hater. I was going to go right to he ruined the Chicago Bulls 2-year run with Derrick Rose. Enough. I love LeBron. I think Graybeard, this old version of LeBron's maybe one of my favorites next to the Miami Heat LeBron. I've been a fanboy my whole life. Love all this answers. I'll be supporting him until he's in the NBA till he's probably 50.
Yeah, I hated LeBron when he was with the Heat and the Cavs, but since he's been with the Lakers, I have no reason to hate him, and I can just appreciate how good he is, or how great he is, I should say, and MJ's the GOAT, but he's number 2 for sure.
And listen, Kenny's a Chicago guy, Bill's a Chicago guy, I'm a New York guy, and I'll say it. Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. And this doesn't need to be an insult to LeBron James to say he's not as good as Michael Jordan. Does it insult Peyton Manning to say he's not as good as Tom Brady? I don't think so. So they're both great. Jordan's greater. It is what it is. I love old LeBron James, probably because I'm old also. Kenny, what's next?
On to the NFL. So Tyler Shuck had a very impressive rookie season. Who knows? Maybe if they won the division, or maybe if he started the season, they could have won the division. So Panthers guard Robert Hunt seems to believe Shuck is really that guy. Listen to what former Dolphins tackle Teron Armstead says, reading a text from Robert Hunt.
After the game, from Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt is the Pro Bowl right guard for the Carolina Panthers. He texted me. He said, man, I leave the division with Josh Allen, and I come to this division, and looking at Tyler Shuck, it looked like it's about to start over.
See, now, Bill, can we critique Kenny for a second here? Only because we've praised him. Like, in the soundbite, why is there audio repeating?
Good question.
Okay. It's gone. So whatever it was. So in the soundbite, Armstead says Robert Hunt. So Kenny, this is just I'm being like a real stickler here. Like you didn't need to say it in the soundbite. No one cares. That's me being a jerk. No one cares. Tyler Shuck is not Josh Allen, right? We like Tyler Shuck.
Am I first?
No, he's not Josh Allen.
How about one of you speak, please?
No, yeah, he's not Josh Allen. I think he could be a pretty damn good quarterback. But my take on this one is there's a lot of NFL players, NFL analysts. There's a lot of texts going back and forth that aren't supposed to be blasted on podcasts. Does Armstead, did he have the permission from Hunt to use this on the podcast? Because you don't usually just have this like wild praise comparing a rival's quarterback to Josh Allen. Like that's what I took. I was like, are you sure you should be blasting that out publicly?
So Tyler, violation of bro code here by Teron Armstead.
I feel like you kind of got to know if you're going on a podcast that someone's going to clip it, or especially an NFL athlete. Like you got to know what you're signing up for, Robert Hunt.
And Teron Armstead, I think does a bunch of media, so maybe he should know better. But here's what I'll say about this, Kenny, and I think you'll agree with this. Like Robert Hunt didn't say that to the media. The fact that he texted it means like he actually thinks it. Like he actually thinks like Tyler Shuck's going to be like the next great quarterback in the NFL. And we know that Shuck's going to be the week 1 starter because the Saints came out and said it. I might agree with you that if Shuck started the whole year, maybe the Saints would have won the division this year in the NFC South.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I took this as something. I mean, Robert Hunt obviously sees something in the kid. He's on the field. We're obviously watching the games. He's on the field. So whatever he knows, we might have to bet on Shuck next year for something. Maybe Saints division. So on to the next one.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So big news yesterday was the John Harbaugh firing, and his brother came to his defense. So much so that he called his own brother better than him. Now, I don't have a brother, but if I did, I would never, ever say he's the best in the world at anything. Take a listen.
John Harbaugh is the best coach I know, best coach I've ever seen. You may say, okay, well, I'm his brother, so I might be biased, but it's so cool to see all my brother's accomplishments. Whatever team he goes to is going to be formidable. I just hope it's in the NFC.
So I kind of think there were. So I'll be honest, right? I don't have a brother either. I have a sister. If I were a coach, whatever, or like I'm competing with my sibling for like the highest honor in what we do. Like they coached against each other in Super Bowl 47, right? Niners, Ravens. And I lost. I don't think I'd ever talk to him again. So the fact that Jim is here all these years later saying that John's better than he is, I think like he's just wired a little differently than most humans. Like I actually think it would have ruined my family if I had lost the Super Bowl to my brother. So I give Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit for being able to say that.
I'd like to know what Jim Harbaugh says when the mics aren't on. Because if I lost to my brother, I have a brother. If I lost to my brother in something like that, I may publicly just be like, he's great, all this stuff. Behind closed doors, I would be fuming. The amount of times we had fights over video games, there was so much going on when we were just a couple years apart. Yeah, he can't be taking that easy. He can't just be applauding his brother. I can't believe it.
I think that's him. I really think it's him. And I laughed. So, like, the Sharon Moore story in Michigan is not like a laughing matter, like what he's being accused of. But some of the stuff that was said in the aftermath was very funny. Like, if Jim Harbaugh had been there and Sharon Moore had been like, hey, Jim, what do you think? Jim would have been like, why are you talking to other women? Like, delete it. Like, why are you on social media? Like, just talk to your wife, go to church, and watch film. And you won't get into any of these. I think Jim's just a different bird. I think he's wired differently. John kind of seems like a normal guy. Jim is out. Like I don't mean on the spectrum in the way that I think people will take it. He's just different. He's wired differently than a lot of people are. He's crazy. And I actually feel like he's crazy in a really good way. Kenny, maybe let's sneak one more in here.
I actually had one more. So the Green Bay Packers are the 7th seed for the 3rd straight year. And as a Bears fan, I understand. They've owned us. But a Packers fan / musician, I believe by the name of Jake Goll, Fields' brother, I'm just kidding, who decided to make a very cringy song ahead of the playoffs. Take a listen.
I just need a Super Bowl, baby. Bowl's never been enough. I need something to hold, baby. I can be a Jordan Love. Let me be a Romeo, baby. We can take a chance on us, yeah. I just need a Super Bowl, baby. Bowl's never been enough.
That's horrible.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It's so bad that even though I'm emotionally invested, I will be betting the Bears. So
I really I actually don't. Tyler, you'll remember this because you're a Phillies fan. Like, you probably all remember this. When the Phillies played the Padres in the NLCS a couple years ago, do you guys remember the Padres song? Like, what was it? That's what's in?
Yeah,
like,
that's what's
Bryce
in.
gonna lose. That's what's in.
Yeah.
Like,
that was horrible.
That's the worst fan song ever. Like, that was actually embarrassing. Like, play this one. I'm being serious. Like, this musically is not bad. Like, it's not like it's a Taylor Swift. Like, it's not going to be played on, like the Odyssey hit station. It's not terrible though. Let's hear this one more time.
I just need a Super Bowl, baby. Bowl's never been enough. I need something to hold, baby. I can be a Jordan Love. Let me be a Romeo, baby. We can take a chance on us, yeah. I just need a Super Bowl, baby. Bowl's never been enough.
Bill, break the tie here. I like it. Tyler and Kenny don't. Take your Bears fandom out of the equation.
I'll try and take my Bears fandom out of it. Not a fan. Like I'd rather hear that "This Is Our Colts" song from that guy that did it over the summer. That cheesy thing. That's better than. I think this is. I don't like this. This isn't good. I've heard some good parody songs. I don't like this one.
That's not a parody.
Especially when you're the 7th seed.
But you know what I'm saying.
But so you're the 7th seed. You can't be excited about your team. Like when the Packers last won the Super Bowl, they were the 6th seed in a 6-team playoff.
Good point.
But I had Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you, Kenny. Bill, what did you think of the inaugural edition of Kenny's Corner?
I thought we did a really good job with it. I thought Kenny was incredible and phenomenal throws, a pro through and through on his first attempt. I think this is a keeper.
I liked it also. Kenny, how did it feel for you?
I enjoyed it so much. I can't wait to do it whenever we're doing it next.
Do you mean that or no? Because you like
Thanks,
talking
dude.
monotone, and it's hard to tell.
I do mean that 100%. Yes.
When you have been in a relationship before, have women ever told you hey, I kind of don't know what you mean when you say things?
Yeah, they don't think I like them. Every girl I've ever been with is like, "Do you even like me?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm just chill."
You talk in monotone. It's not a criticism. I asked you, "Are you excited?" And you said, and I quote, "Yes, I am very excited."
It's just me, I guess. Sorry.
All right. Tyler, your thoughts on Kenny's Corner?
I thought it was good. We've had, I'll say this, Kenny, we've had some bad inaugural segments on this show. I thought that was pretty good. That was up there. I thought that was
great. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I've been part of some of them, so I can take the blame on some of those. But so I thought this was a good one.
Honestly, I think they're probably all my fault, but I appreciate that very much. Thank you guys very much. Do a couple YouTube comments here, and then we'll close the show with bets for tonight. Andy B says Shuck is Tommy DeVito. serviceable backups that took over late in the season. Andy, like, I'm being sincere. Thank you to listening to the show and watching the show. Thank you for commenting. I hope to have you in our YouTube chat tomorrow and to be saying your name for a long time here on You Better You Bet. I regret to tell you that you don't know ball if you think Tyler Shuck and Tommy DeVito are the same quarterback. And I say that facetiously a little bit. Shuck is way better than Tommy DeVito. Way better than Tommy DeVito. Andy, we'll talk to you tomorrow, hopefully, in the YouTube chat. Excalibur Force had 300 emojis. I have no idea what that's in reference to. But listen, like, the show is awesome, so I appreciate you very much and everyone that's chimed in on the YouTube chat today. All right, on the other side, all the bets for tonight, including the Fiesta Bowl tonight with Ole Miss and Miami here on a Thursday. Nick Kostos and you better you bet on Westwood One Sports.
We'll be right back with You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Some thank yous to dole out before we wrap up the tremendous Football Thursday edition of You Better You Bet with all my bets for tonight in the world of sports. Two tremendous guests joined us today on the show. Danny Cannell of CBS Sports and Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM Channel 84. And pro sports bettor Joey Knish, who is under the weather. We appreciate our friend Joey Knish of Hit the Books joining us today on You Better You Bet. One last YouTube comment, and if we get a couple more, I'll pepper them in throughout this final segment. And the subject has to be, if you have a bet for tonight in Ole Miss Miami, fire them in. I'll read them if you do. Franchise Davis loves the over tonight and the Ole Miss team total over. Let's make it a shootout, make it more enjoyable. The Ole Miss defense can't stop anyone, so Miami will be able to score. Thank you very much to Franchise Davis. The bet's coming up in a second, but look, let's get one more. BV says, will Ole Miss be able to score on Miami? He's betting the under and says, good luck. Love when the real ones talk to each other in the YouTube chat. You guys are the absolute best. I mean this sincerely. It's a new time slot. This is the 6th show we've done. And the fact that we have had, I'm being totally sincere here with everybody, with our listeners and viewers. The fact that we have had as much audience participation as we've had on a new network in a new time slot is awesome. And I sincerely appreciate everybody. And we're all going to grow this son of a bitch together. And you know me, I want to make this as great as possible. Like, let's do it. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you all and talk to you all tomorrow on a phenomenal Football Friday. Last one from our friend Mark. Nick's energy and Kenny's monotone is a perfect yin and yang dynamic, which is very funny. Said, Kenny, are you excited to be doing this? Yes, I am. Love it. All right, let's drop the dope-ass beat, please. Kenny. And Kenny, do you want to... No, we won't do it now because we're running out of time. I want Kenny to do the read sometimes also. The college football playoff semifinals are here, and whether you're riding on an upset or hoping the favorite dominates, betting with a boost makes every playoff moment even more memorable. Activate this odds boost token on any college football playoff game, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. Download the BetMGM app today. Visit BetMGM.com, and please gamble responsibly. Kenny in our show chat wrote that he wants to do some reads. I mentioned Yoda and Dagobah. Maybe that was yesterday. You will be, Kenny. You will be. All right, Ole Miss and Miami. Ole Miss plus the 3.5, and I'm backing it up with a wager on Ole Miss on the money line. I'm a little concerned that the game goes the way Danny Cannell said it would. Knish likes Miami also, and maybe Miami leans on Ole Miss the way it leaned on Ohio State, and Ole Miss doesn't have the NFL talent that Ohio State has. I'm going to bet that the X factor here and the differentiator in this game is Trinidad Chambliss. Gold all on his chain, gold all on his watch, gold all on his ring. Don't believe him, just watch. I'm going to put the Trinidad emoji up on Twitter, at the Kostos, on Instagram, at the Kostos, 1,000,000 times tonight. Ole Miss plus the points, and a small bet on Ole Miss to win the game as well. NBA college basketball slate, not great. NBA slate tonight, only a couple games. I laid 2.5 with the Minnesota 2.5 with the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Darius Garland's going to play tonight for Cleveland. And Minnesota's been a little Jekyll and Hyde, where they've lost to some bad teams. They beat some really good teams. The Cavs are a good team, but I think Minnesota's a little better. Minnesota's playing at home, so my one NBA bet for tonight, give me the Minnesota Timberwolves laying 2.5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I just want to see what the line is. I may bet Northwestern against Michigan State. Northwestern is a 12.5-point road dog right now. Game time there is 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Northwestern has lost 6 games this year by a combined 35 points. I think Northwestern might keep that. I haven't placed the bet yet, but I'm thinking about betting Northwestern against Michigan State. Hit me up on Instagram and follow me on Instagram at the Kostos, TheKostos. I will add any bets to my card there in my Instagram story before kickoff and tip-off tonight. That does it for the tremendous Sports Thursday edition of You Better You Bet. Myself and the crew will catch you tomorrow on a phenomenal Football Friday. Black and Abdallah coming up next on Westwood One Sports. Till then, I'm wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck.
That was You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Yeah, normally you wouldn't go with this position. A lot of people would feature running back, a wide receiver, maybe a tight end. You can make an argument for any number of guys that were really just sensational this season. But Matthew Stafford, to me, takes the cake as the biggest boom. You look where he was in terms of the ADP data. That stands for average draft position. He was quarterback 25. During the peak draft season in the month of August and early September. He was going around pick number 170.6 overall. And if you recall, in training camp, they brought in that specialized medical bus just for him to figure out his back issues. And everybody's like, Stafford's going to be lucky to even play maybe half this season. This is something that's going to be bulky. This is something that's going to be reoccurring. This is something that's going to sap his year. And he completely defied the odds. Right now in the conversation for NFL MVP between him and Drake May, because the season was redonkulous. He was the second best quarterback in fantasy football this season, actually one spot ahead of Drake May. He was a quarterback 3 with Josh Allen at quarterback 1, but over 4,700 pass yards, a 46-8 touchdown interception ratio at 37 years old. Chances are he was a guy that was probably the quarterback on a lot of championship rosters, because if you was subscribed to, you just wait on a quarterback until later rounds of your fantasy draft, and you scored Matthew Stafford, you're probably loaded up at other positions at running back, a wide receiver, maybe a tight end. Hopefully those guys stayed healthy. But Stafford was a king of consistency, getting at 20 to 30 fantasy points week in and week out. So again, a guy that was going to the bigger fuzzy hours of your fantasy draft, you probably reluctantly picked him. And you're like, crap. Yeah, Matthew Stafford. Sure, we'll see what he can do. I know he's got a bad back. He's got a back of my 80-year-old grandmother. And he goes out there and has a 46-8 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, it's just insane what he was able to achieve. So my biggest boom goes to the LA Ram and Matthew Stafford.